dominate.
Jungle Jack Perry.
Nobody is gonna take this away from me.
Alright everybody, we are talking about last night's episode of AEW Dynamite, and surprise, I wanted to be like John, you know what, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna be like John Moxley. Surprise, motherfuckers! We have Ashley Mann here to talk about last night's Dynamite, a momentous Dynamite, a positive Dynamite, hopefully, and I'm really happy to have you, selfishly, Ashley, because I feel like we were just talking about it last week. I was so negative, like rightfully so, but so negative, and I feel like you put a positive spin on a lot of this stuff. I think you just have a way more positive outlook on life itself. So I'm happy to have you back, and you know what? There's a lot of good stuff to talk about on this week, so I'm excited to get into it. But first and foremost, what did you think? How are you? Welcome back. Plug your show at the beginning. We'll plug it at the end again. Let's get all of that going.
Oh, thank you so much for that introduction. You're so great. You're such a natural at all this. Like you're too nice to me. But yes, I'm so happy to be back too, and I'm happy like I said earlier, I'm happy we were able to get together for what ended up being like a big show. Like if you look at it like return wise and star power wise. So it's cool to actually like get in and talk to you about it. So thank you so much for having me back. But yeah, and thanks for letting me plug the pod. I do my own little thing, you know, on the side here. It's called the Kick-Ass Podcast. Someone had said that phrase to me, like, it was in a completely different context, not really important, but that name, so it kind of just stuck with me. So yeah, I record maybe at least one episode a week. I try to maybe do a little bit more here and there when time allows. But yeah, just feel free to listen to me there. But I selfishly love coming on here with you, Mimi, because it's fun to talk to another human being too. You know what I mean? And kind of BS around all this. And I'm gonna try to edit myself so you don't have to do too much editing. But I love the way you started off the show there.
Yeah, that one's easy. That's an easy blur. So
yeah.
So people know, obviously, Kicking Ash, so I assume we're talking about something combat form.
Yes.
It'd be really awkward if it was like a culinary podcast.
Right. We're like a positive vibe show and all that. Yeah, no, it's not. And I'm pretty explicit, so I don't have to do any editing or anything like that. So I'm kind of lazy when it comes to that. So props to you. But yeah, it's all about wrestling. And I was actually kind of looking back on it. The majority of the shows have been like predominantly AEW focused, which
I wonder why.
Exactly. And I was kind of thinking back on it, and it's pretty telling, at least for me, and not to get off too much here on a tangent, but like to me growing up, wrestling was just WWE. Like for the longest time, like I knew WCW and that, but I didn't really know like anything else existed until TNA ended up on my TV screen randomly. But to see like the disconnect that I have with them now and just the love for AEW, it's kind of crazy. And again, like I'm just kind of selfishly thankful that we have AEW for me, because I mean, I don't know how to not watch wrestling, if that makes sense. So I'm sure I'd still always watch WWE in some regard. Maybe certain shows I will avoid. But yeah, it's just weird. AEW is just something that we just so desperately needed, and I'm just so happy we have it. Even when we have crappy shows like last week, you know, it's still light years better than other shows, I will say.
Yeah, I think it's crappy because we hold it to a higher standard, and I think that's what I tried to get across last week too. So I hear you. So funny. Yes, this is what I was saying. You're already getting us off on them. I'm already feeling more positive about AEW as a whole. But like I agree. I think very rarely can I tune into anything WWE. I'm gonna watch the Royal Rumble. I love the Royal Rumble. Everybody watches the Royal Rumble. Like it's just such a good time. But even the way they're doing it this year, it's like how do you ruin the Royal Rumble? Oh, I don't know. You announce everybody before. Like it's just the one thing that we love about the Royal Rumble. But anyways, I totally agree with that. And I watch it for Charlotte Flair pretty much. That's about it. And you know what? Even she is in like not great form lately. So very, very few things get me to actually turn on the WWE product nowadays. But yeah, you're right. I forget. I don't know what I would be doing without having some kind of wrestling to watch. Like GCW is about like the only other thing, because I don't know. I don't watch. Maybe I'd get into Impact. Probably not. Like as much as I love Mickie James too, I really wish I had the time for that. But or the attention. I don't know, the interest. But Yeah, besides AEW, and like I feel like look what AEW is doing for the landscape too. Not just AEW, but we got the show with Jon Moxley coming up defending the GCW title in the I always mispronounce the name. Amherstein.
The
Am I getting it?
Hammerstein Ballroom.
All right, good. I got it. Amherstein Ballroom. Like
Yeah.
that's incredible. That's unbelievable for a show and for an indie promotion. That's their biggest show yet. And obviously sad with Ring of Honor, what was happening with Ring of Honor, but even maybe Impact, I think, had more than its regular 200,000 viewers. So AEW is definitely doing more and more for the pro wrestling world as a whole, and obviously with the pandemic pending. But I love you already got me in a more positive mood going into this show. So I appreciate
I'm happy.
that.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
I don't know if you're gonna get that show too, that GCW show. I don't know how much you're into all of that stuff. I don't know. We never talked about it. If you're really into the gory stuff, but I don't. I guess I was about to do it again, but I don't want to have to go back and edit. I guess I'm a sick. You know what? I don't mind that stuff. Like I feel like I'm almost so desensitized at this point. But I definitely am gonna tune in for that pay-per-view. So not to get too off track.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. Like I don't. Put it this way, like I never really knew until I saw like my first like really like clips from like a deathmatch type thing on YouTube, because for the longest time I just didn't really seek it out. Not that I avoided it, I was just like, whatever. It's because to me like I'm not gonna say it wasn't wrestling, but like it didn't really grab my attention at first until like I actually devoted time to like watch it and kind of understand like the psychology that is behind that, and like a weird and in its own like kind of beautiful way in itself. But yeah, so like that's kind of how like I watched like a couple documentaries on like not GCW specifically, but like that had Brett Lauderdale in it, and I think that one that was on Dark Side of the Ring with Nick Gage, like that kind of like
such
really
a great documentary.
Yeah, that kind of like really opened my eyes and kind of got me like really intrigued. So I'm very happy for them, and I'm happy that they ended up selling out the Hammerstein Ballroom before they even like announced the full card itself. And yeah, just for them as a company, like I hope. Some people have said that they're slowly moving into possibly like the number 3 spot, wrestling company ranking wise, which I don't know about all that, but they're definitely a solid 4, if not that number 3. But yeah, I haven't ordered a pay-per-view from them in the past, but I will most likely be ordering this one.
Yeah,
that gore stuff doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen some matches I feel are better than others, but it's just cool, like you said, moving in the number 4 spot, and then like think about, I hope eventually in my area, there's not, maybe if I went more New York area, but where I'm from, like there's not a lot of, you're not going to be able to go to a lot of indie shows, but I will say that which is funny because I live really near the WWE Capitol, but anyways, not to like give away my location, but I was thinking about, I had that awesome interview with that interview wasn't awesome, not to put myself over, but she was really awesome, Raina Cruz, the girl.
Oh yeah, it was. You did a very good job.
I appreciate that. But the woman who did she did, obviously, for anybody who doesn't know, the guest ring announcing at SummerSlam for I think was it the Big E match? No. I forget what match it was for, but it was for the pre-show on SummerSlam, and she is like an aspiring ring announcer, so what a cool perspective to hear from, and I'm sure if you search down and scroll down this feed, if you are still interested, I mean, it still works timely, I guess, but you can check that out, and besides just like aspiring professional wrestlers, it makes me think about people like Raina Cruz, who is like a aspiring ring announcer. Where is she going to go get her practice? You know what I mean? Not practice, that's not what I mean. Where's she going to go get reps, essentially? Just like a professional wrestler would have to, if they don't have all these, if the indie scene isn't what it is, or what it was a couple of years ago, referees, people who just like the other people who it takes to bring, commentators, people who it takes to put all this stuff together, where are they going to go and get their reps, just besides the professional wrestlers? We were talking about that for some reason the other night, randomly, and it sounds like little by little too, the indie scene, again, pandemic pending, is opening up more and more, and so I'm excited to hopefully be able to go to a couple shows around the New York area. I know she said if you guys are in the California area, that's a big area, Southern California area, she does shows around there, so you should definitely try to seek her out and see if you can go on any shows she's ring announcing at. You can follow her on Twitter too. We're supporters here of Raina Cruz. Rain, it's Rain. I'm like, we're supporters, and I can't even remember how to pronounce her first name. But she was awesome, and so yeah, it's exciting. Again, totally off track, but it is. You got me excited about professional wrestling after last week was such a crappy show, so I appreciate that.
Well, it's what I'm here for, Mimi. It's what I'm here for.
You kick ass is what you do.
I see what you did there.
I'm here for your dad jokes and your bad puns. All right,
Yeah,
let's get into this episode of Dynamite, because it started off with probably one of my favorite segments ever. And I'm not going to do it justice by trying to repeat anything he said. If you haven't seen this, it's on YouTube. If you don't want to go back and watch the whole show, it's on AEW's YouTube channel. Go check this out. Just even if you don't watch the rest of the show, just make sure you go check this out. Because Jon Moxley, if you hadn't heard, if you were living under a rock, made his return and cut this amazing promo where he managed to be, the man John and like the wrestler Jon Moxley. I think it's John Goodman.
I think it's just Good. John Good.
Of course it is.
Right?
Right. You managed to be John Good and Jon Moxley and have the return of John Good and Jon Moxley all at the same time. There's nobody better who ties real life stuff in so well without crossing the line, I guess. Which if subjectively, I guess, because some people don't think there is a line to cross and some people think, the line is, I don't know, very sensitive, I guess. And but he does such a good job of mixing the two things and really making this whole thing feel real. And that line he puts at the end, to put over the fact that he's obviously sober now, but without saying, "Hey guys, I'm sober now," but also I'm Jon Moxley and I'm back. Right? I'm more dangerous than ever. And all I drink is, what did he say? I only drink blood.
The only thing I drink nowadays is blood.
Like, what a cool thing. First of all, that's cooler than the last, I'm gonna have to edit this because it's cooler when he said bitch af, right? Like, the only person who's ever made that cool is Jon Moxley. And, and this whole thing got me, I was telling you before too, chills everywhere, emotional, like, he talks about the demon and his dream, the dark cloud above him. Like, we can all really, everybody, I don't care who you are, unless you're normal SpongeBob, right? Like, you've had something in your life you've had to deal with, at least one thing. And we've all, like my mom always says that, everybody's got something. She doesn't say it that she says it really well and with correct grammar because she's an English major, but everybody has something. And that was really what Jon Moxley was saying in a way more, hardcore way. Just stopped myself there again. In a way more hardcore way was everybody has something. We all got demons, and I just kicked mine in the rear end. So this made me all kinds of emotional. I'm really glad AEW just let this be what it was. Really a throwback to the CM Punk thing, I thought, but obviously like a much more serious topic. But he just did such a wonderful way. And, like, screw that guy. You know what I mean? We were talking about beforehand, too. Screw that guy. Why do you pay money to go and, like, you know what? You just missed out on a really awesome show, probably. So, and Jon Moxley is hilarious. And we were talking about, too, they didn't even try to do the Kevin Dunn blackout. Like, they just let the F-bomb be dropped on CBS television. Second week, Jon Moxley, you're only on CBS Dynamite for 2 weeks, and you're already dropping the F-bomb. But this was one of my favorite segments of Dynamite ever. Of course, I want to hear everything you have to say about it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 1,000% on this one. And I love how Tony, when it's a big moment and a big deal, like, it opens the show. Now, I say that more so with, like, the promos and stuff like that because part of me, especially the past couple weeks, like I've been like with the Hangman Page and the Bryan Danielson matches, both opening the shows. Like in retrospect, it obviously makes sense, but to me, like it was always just like kind of interesting and just stood out how like the main event is always the first thing. But I think stuff like this, like it's smart to open the show with it, and especially because you want to make sure he gets the amount of time that he wants and rightfully deserves, I mean, they're so good about cramming stuff into a 2-hour show. So it's pretty much just the equivalent to an opening match time wise. So I just think that was obviously like a smart and a well-deserved placement for him to come out and instead of holding it off till later on or like the main event. But man, like, just seeing him the first time I saw him, because I started the show a little bit late, so I was trying to avoid everything until I got to my DVR. And side note, Sling, like the whole point of recording a show is so when you hit play, it starts from the beginning, not live. So like luckily, like I was it started mid-match for like the opening match, the opening tag match. But I'm like, yo, like it had been like a major debut or return or something like that, like something surprising. Like Sling would have completely like just spoiled it all for me. So I was a little irritated. But in another side note, did you see him chuck that water bottle when he was in the audience? Like how hard he threw that water bottle?
I thought I was like, you know what? Yeah, like he comes out or whatever. I'll just never forget. I think it was Double or Nothing. He grabbed someone's beer or something and drank it and like threw it at somebody. And obviously, with that not occurring anymore, right? Like he just like he's just like, yeah, this is I drink water now. Like Jon Moxley literally could start his own water line. Have you ever seen it? Have you seen that Liquid Death thing going around? I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But it sounds like cool people water from what I'm understanding. I think Jon Moxley could literally have like he could call it blood water. Or you could just call it water. He could literally just call it maybe, you know what, AF water. Yes, how do you make throwing water cool? I just don't understand.
And like the speed and like just the power that he chucked that water bottle. I was like, yo, I hope whoever was on the other side was paying attention, because if they weren't, like they just got like they're probably bruised. But that just stood out to me for whatever reason.
Water.
Yeah. But like I'm like we spoke about before, like he physically looks like, and that was like the main thing that really stood out to me before he even got to his promo, was like physically how good he looks. Like he legit looks at least 10 years younger. Mm-hmm. And it's been what, 2 months? Has like 2 months, 3 months?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy.
October, I think.
Yeah, it's crazy what it'll do. Like how quickly that bloat can just go away.
Yeah, but I mean, so all that kind of to the side, we get to the point. But the promo itself, like you said, like I'm not even gonna try to do it justice. Like you just have to go out and watch it. But seeing him and the way he can tell a story without being so blunt, like he never even said like, ew, I defeated alcohol or I went to rehab. Like he never said like those specific words. And just hearing how he can still lay out a story and like you know what he's talking about. Like, it's just so well done. So I'm stoked he's back. I'm kind of surprised in a way that his first match back is going to be on Rampage against Ethan Page. I guess even though Rampage is live, I don't know, I was still kind of just surprised by that. What do you think about that? And maybe I'm jumping the gun there a little bit.
I have a theory about that. I could be wrong. But I think our good friend Tony Khan over here needed to flex, like, you know what, measuring contest. And say, but Jon Moxley is our guy. So you can't have him debut back in GCW. So we're going to put him on a match on Rampage with Ethan Page. Don't get me wrong. I think Ethan Page, objectively, is probably a really good opponent for him in this moment. Because he's a you-know-what. He's a prick. You know what I mean? He's a jerk. He's like he's going to play the role perfectly. I just think of more of Ethan Page. But I assume to other people, he's more of a Pretty Peter Avalon kind of character. But I think that's really what it was. It was GCW, you can have him for the main event, but Jon Moxley's our guy. And you know what? Power to Tony Khan. He probably pays this guy a crap ton of money. And to have him return, I'd want him to return on my show first. I'd want to see him wrestle back on my show first and be able to say that if he's really contracted under AEW. So it makes sense. I think that's why it feels very squeezed in, because, with that pay-per-view coming up. Is it this weekend? Couple weekends?
And that's what I was just about to look up to see if it was this weekend. It makes total sense. I guess I could have looked it up on Twitter. That probably would have been easier.
No, I think I think that would
123. Yeah.
So that's why, really, I think that's why this was announced so last minute.
Dang, I didn't realize it was this weekend.
I assume we don't know the inner workings or anything. That's my guess, though. I think they're going to make the most of it, and then we're going to get him back to, he's also a new father, so I assume that's going to take a lot of precedent too. But I can speak. Let me put it this way: when you're, I'll put it this way. These personal stories, quick sidetrack, right? So when I stopped drinking a while ago, and when I stopped drinking, all of a sudden I picked up cigarettes. And we well documented, right? Like this quitting of cigarettes, and thank God we're all done. No nicotine and all that stuff as of now, at least for a couple months now. But when I stopped doing anything else, right? Picked up cigarettes. I had never smoked cigarettes before, even while I was drinking ever. Really, it wasn't my thing. Because when you put down one thing that makes you feel good in some kind of way, or bad, or whatever you want to call it, you kind of, it's like human nature to fill that whatever with something else. And so at least that's my explanation. So I have a feeling right now we're doing this. John Moxley has admitted in documentaries and all this stuff, and my fiance actually bought his book too, which, by the way, somehow John Moxley makes reading cool too. Not that reading isn't cool.
Yeah.
I feel like Chad Gable, Don't Boo Education, which is like such a dime piece, and all of the ruffle of that WWE is now Chad Gable. Again, sidetrack, but like I have a feeling he's talked about how this is like a drug to him, right? This is like the feeling he gets, the adrenaline, the crowd, all that stuff. So my guess is, and I don't mean to compare this John Moxley, we could not see him for a couple of weeks. I don't know what goes on in his head. This is just my experience, right? He might want that feeling a bunch. I mean, he's going to wrestling on GCW, right? Technically his real big first match back is the main event of a GCW show. I assume the guy wants to feel that feeling of the adrenaline, the way your body goes when you're in all that pain and all those like outward scars and stuff. I assume he wants that feeling again because it's been so long since he's been able to have it. And, now he's going to feel it tenfold. No nothing or whatever to block that. So I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of John Moxley lately, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited for him, too. I'm excited to see John Moxley where he feels at his best now, I don't know if that made sense or I dictated that well. That's like we got to tread carefully with all this stuff because of the world today.
Yeah.
But I do think I think it's going to be really cool to see like what he said in his promo. If you thought he was dangerous before, wait till we see this version of John Moxley.
Exactly, and that's obviously like you just said. I'm looking forward to most, but everything you said makes absolute and complete sense. And I think the key thing too, and I think I'm like maybe 2 chapters away from finishing the book. Actually, yeah, I'm thinking about
so
that.
You know how cool the book looks.
Oh yeah. I went through that book almost. Like it's hard to put down. It's one of those, and I enjoy reading. I'm not gonna say like I'm like the number one book lover out there, but like I enjoy reading. Like you said, like I don't know. I'm just one of those like weird people out there, like whatever they call them. But yeah,
so don't boo education.
I'm all for some education, man. I'm a nerd at heart, all that good stuff. So his book was like a no-brainer, but it got me thinking because a lot of times in his book, especially, and it makes sense, right? Especially a decade ago, but they would go out to like the hotel bar or like a bar before they hit the next town or whatever. And just like, I mean, and again, like none of us know any specifics, and I personally don't really want to know specifics, but like I can't, like where I'm coming from is like I can't even imagine like going through the rehab and everything like that, and then coming out and then being right back in that environment, and just the strength it takes to come back and to be so strong, you know what I mean? And just like so excited and willing to go right back into what I'm sure is going to be, and I'm not saying anyone out there is going to like pressure him or anything like that, like fellow employee wise, but just like an innocent thing is to go get dinner or something, like, so I just feel like it's just so much credit to him and like guys who have gone through, and when I say guys, I mean like guys and girls, who have gone through stuff like that in the past. So I'm so happy he's back, and I guess I'm happy he's back already. Like if he felt like it was time to come back, then who am I to say otherwise? But I'm excited, and I'm I guess more so excited too to see where this really takes him in AEW, because we haven't seen Bryan Danielson since he lost to Hangman Page either. So I wonder if they kind of go into a feud, since Bryan kind of took Mox's spot in a way, or not necessarily took a spot, but I think the like general consensus out there was that, Mox was going to win. And I'm sure they're not going to say that on TV, quote like that. But I wonder if that's where they go with Mox's like first actual feud back, or if they start with maybe something, no disrespect, but like smaller, and then build back up to that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we are starting with Ethan Page. I think he's definitely going to do that match in GCW. And I was going to say, if he was a normal human being, right, he might need a little time to heal. But he's Jon Moxley, so
right. He'll be back next week.
I don't know. I think what we're going to do. We're going to pull up the AEW roster page, and do our little thing here.
Our due diligence.
Exactly. As I do this, though, I do want to quickly mention, I feel like as a podcast, as one of the very few I think the only wrestling podcast I know, actually, of two any associate to actually professional wrestling, like I'm just thinking Renee Paquette or whatever, but two female wrestling hosts. I don't know of another podcast that has that. I could be wrong, but I feel like it's as that, right? It's our job to also mention like freaking Renee Paquette, like a real, I can't swear anymore, a real bad, you know what, because like they just had, I don't mean to get into his personal life, but just having a newborn baby. And then, having to have your significant other go away to take care of himself. Like, I'm not saying she's like a saint or whatever, but you gotta be a real bad, you know what, to be able to handle that. Like, and she's in the wrestling
and not
world.
talk about it and not glorify it. I don't
That's,
mean to cut you off, but
really
like she does
that.
her own. Yeah, she does her own podcast. Like she talks for, I don't want to say a living now, but like that's one of her main things now is interviewing people. She goes on like Busted Open a lot from time to time. So she is out in the limelight a lot. It's not like she's just like chilling back and not really, like doing much like social media and like spotlight wise. Like she's out there and she didn't shy away from anything. But at the same token too, like she didn't go out there and use it as like fodder and something to gain attention and downloads and stuff.
It's just like very tastefully
stuff.
handled.
I had to edit myself. But yeah, exactly. Like I don't know, like she's just such a bad, woman to handle everything that she's had to deal with. And again, like I'm not gonna pretend to know her or anything. We all have our faults, but like I don't know, it's just like reassuring, and it just shows you like like not to get all sappy, but like that's true love, man. Like that's love, like that's sticking by someone when they need you the most, and it's cool to see. And I think that's like for me personally why and last night was so emotional and so like you said, it gave me chills for the first time since Punk came back, wrestling wise. Like I don't know, it's just like so much goodness wrapped up into like one segment last night. So it was just perfect.
Yeah, it just had me thinking. I just got chills thinking about it again. Well, let's get off the serious stuff. Let's play a fun game. You know what we'll do? Who do we think Jon Moxley is going to be feuding with next, Ashley? There are 23 lines, I think, on the mat. So pick a number 1 through 23.
Oh, 13.
Okay, and then pick a number 1 through 4. You can think about it for a minute.
1 through 4?
Mm-hmm.
3.
All right, say 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 3. No way! Jon Moxley's next feud, Ashley, is the one, the only, Kenny Omega.
Get the F out, bro. What are the odds of that? That's amazing. See, you're welcome, guys. You're welcome.
Exactly, and Ashley is the one who manifested it. So, to answer your question, I think he's feuding next with Kenny Omega.
I mean, that's a sure thing. I mean, how can he not at this point? It writes itself. You're welcome,
moving on
Kenny.
down.
I just saved you some time.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate that. You saved AEW some time, truthfully. I was thinking about including the women in those lines, but I figured, you know what? We're going to talk about the mixed tag team match later on. So we had MJF cutting a promo, pretty much another perfect promo with Wardlow, and we haven't been able to talk about. I mean, it was going on a little bit, but not to this extent. Just the brilliance that is Wardlow's facial expressions, since this has been going on. But he talks about CM Punk should have just stayed down and something about spinal stenosis. I don't know. They lost me. And basically he said, Wardlow, you screwed up, but like, I'm sorry I put my hands on you. Or I'm sorry, I yelled at you, but you put your hands on me. So he went into Wardlow's birthday card, took the check out, scratched out the dollar amount, and wrote a new lower dollar amount. He took Wardlow's birthday check from him. It felt like birthday bonus. And then said that Shawn Spears is going to get the job done. Spoiler alert, Shawn Spears wins the match with the roll-up in 3 seconds, so he absolutely does get the job done later on in the show. But I love this promo. Wardlow's faces are just, like, in this, little by little, I feel like in each segment, it increases a little bit more and more. Like, this time he really, like, kind of looked up and looked around to, like, really look at MJF, like, you just said that? He just is like baffled by the stupidity that is this man with a scarf on. Yes. I thought the segment was perfect. I'll throw it over to you too. And what are you thinking about the Wardlow? It's coming, the slow burn Wardlow turn.
I mean, of course, and I can't wait. And I love how they're, like you said, the slow burn with it, because and this is, I don't know why my brain works this way, but I was driving to work earlier this morning, and I just randomly started thinking about that segment, the Wardlow did something we're talking about, and Wardlow specifically just chilling in the back. Like, to me, like, and I could be wrong, but like, the main point of this whole segment was Wardlow, regardless of what MJF was saying. And the whole focus was Wardlow, like you said, his facial expressions. And I was thinking about that, and it just, in my mind, like, I'm sitting here thinking, like, who does he remind me of? And it hit me, and I could be way off, so feel free to call me out. But it reminded me of Batista right before they broke up, and right before he ended up winning, like, the Royal Rumble. I think it was, and he was trying to make his decision. This was, like, I don't even know, 2003, 4. Mm-hmm. And he was trying to make his decision, and Triple H was pressuring him to go to SmackDown, so he didn't choose him. This whole thing.
The thumbs down.
Exactly, yeah, but like during the weeks building up to it, like you would still see Batista kind of in the main frame of the shot, but kind of maybe a little towards the left, but just enough so you could see him in his body language and just the way he would react to Triple H, and especially like backstage, like last night. It just kind of stood out to me, and I don't necessarily see Wardlow a complete comparison for Batista, but for whatever reason, and maybe it was because my coffee hadn't kicked in yet, but this morning, like, it just popped into my brain. And I don't know, like, I think, like, I'm a big Wardlow fan, and I like mentioned earlier, I love the slow burn approach with probably the majority of things in wrestling, but this in particular, because it's cool to see how AEW allows multiple storylines to go on with one wrestler. Right? Like, MJF has obviously the stuff going on with Punk, but then he has everything going on with Wardlow that's building. So it's like, what is going to, like, boil up first, right? And is it going to be the Punk thing that leads to that, or is it going to be Wardlow first? And that's what's kind of get me wondering, too, like, are they going to do Punk and MJF at Revolution, which I selfishly hope for because it's right here in Orlando. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, I don't know. I'm so here and very intrigued with the whole Wardlow thing.
That's such a good point. I didn't even think about, like, who gets the payoff first. Like, who, CM Punk versus MJF, or do we get Wardlow turning on MJF first, or do that happen on the same night? I think you spread it out. Personally, I think I don't know. I don't know. Actually, I'm not even gonna. I don't know what you do, and you know what? I'm just gonna leave it up to. I'm excited to find out. The one thing I'll say about this, first of all, like, it's so great. I didn't even think about that. That's such a good point of just, like, they're hiding this Wardlow feud in this incredible feud with MJF and CM Punk.
In plain sight, essentially. Like,
exactly.
It's staring us in the face. That segment last night just, like, pointed that out to me for some reason.
It's like, you know how, like, you, like, have things that go on, like, your subconscious brain or whatever, and, like, you don't even realize, it's like breathing. Like, you're breathing and you don't even know, like, you don't have to think about the fact that you're breathing, but you're doing something else. Technically, you're always multitasking, right? Because you're doing whatever you're doing, but you're also breathing while you're doing it, hopefully, right? This is a really weird analogy. It's a little bit of a stretch, but I hope you're following me. But
it's accurate, though.
I appreciate that. See, you should get on here more often, Ashley. But like it's the same thing what they're doing with this CM Punk MJF stuff. They're doing something, and literally this Wardlow MJF feud is just breathing in the background. It's, you know, what's going on. It's happening. You're mindful of it, but, like, hopefully you're mindful of it. It's a plug for meditation. But like, hopefully you're mindful of it. But you don't even really, you're just enjoying the fact that it's going on while you're doing whatever you're doing. Or if you're eating while you watch something, like, you're enjoying the fact that you're eating, but really you're paying attention to what you're watching, but all the meanwhile you're consuming. It's such an interesting...
While breathing.
Like, so it's such an amazing... While breathing. Put a third storyline in there too, but it's such a really, like, wonderful, nuanced way of telling a story that you just don't see in pro wrestling. Like, I can't remember the last time I felt like, because realistically, Bodyguard turns, big beefy Bodyguard, right, turns on rich, snobby, whatever, champion, whatever you want to call it, I'm just thinking about Triple H now, is not a new story. Diesel and Shawn Michaels, right? Triple H and Batista, we talked about it. We got it going on kind of with Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. Like, this is like, I'm sure there's so many other ones too. It's not original, but it works, and it's a good vehicle. But the way that they're doing it is so unique. I love that, and I'm the same way. I'm really enjoying it. The one thing, I'm having two issues with it, though. I'll say all that positivity. One is, like, if I were Wardlow, I would have kicked the crap out of this guy by now. So either Wardlow is like a little, you know what, female dog, and just, like, is too scared to do that or whatever, or they need to hone in more on the fact that he doesn't have another income maybe? Because, like, I always forget that he's not an AEW. Technically, I think he's on the roster. Let's do we're on the roster page now. Let's do the Wardlow. I guess he's not.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, that is because I'm 100% there with you. Like, I'm like, especially last week was very glaring. Like, why the F wouldn't you just,
yeah, he's on the roster
PG.
page.
But I don't think we ever got a Wardlow is all, and I could be wrong, but I don't know if we ever got that, because it's not official until you get the graphic, right?
But
on
he is
Twitter,
all elite, technically, if you see him on you know what I mean? Like, he's on the website.
Yeah.
So I just feel like if you, and again, I could just be being spoiled, but, like, it's the nuance of does he have another income? Like, is this, because if this is all, this is a really bad throwback, but Shawn Michaels, JBL, do you remember that storyline?
Yes, I do.
They made it, they WWE'd it, absolutely, but it was clear in your face that Shawn Michaels had no choice because he literally was broke. He was bankrupt, right? I need, if you make that clear to me, like if that's a clear story beat, I understand why they're doing such a slow burn. Because sometimes when you just do slow burn for slow burn's sake, which God know AEW is a victim of, not a victim of, is a perpetrator of, so many times, just an angle for an angle's sake or slow burn for a slow burn's sake. Like there's bad storytelling too. Not all storytelling is good storytelling. So if we had that, I could almost understand why this is such a slow burn. Otherwise, in my head, I'm just thinking, why is he not kicking the crap out of him lately? If he's going to get money from Tony Khan, God knows Tony Khan is going to get a nice contract for Wardlow. Like, that's where they lose me a little bit. And then the other thing is, and you tell me, I'm worried he's going to have Brian Cage syndrome. I'll leave that there, too. You know what I mean? I don't know enough about Wardlow. Like, so far, his facial expressions and everything are telling me that this guy's got more charisma than I've ever had or could dream of having in my entire life. But we haven't seen it, you know what I mean? So it's just concerning, like, how many big muscular guys like that do you see are, like, wonderful on the microphone? You know, I can't think of somebody off the top of my head who had both. Maybe John Cena, if you want to consider John Cena a really big muscular guy, but I wouldn't even put him in that category. So I don't know, just Wardlow concerns, but it's not like I'm not enjoying this.
I definitely see like where you're getting at with that. The only thing that kind of doesn't have me too concerned with the whole Brian Cage effect for Wardlow, is that. And it's so, like, I don't want to say sad, but it's so bizarre. Like, he just kind of disappeared. Like, people in AEW, like, they just kind of, like, disappear for, like, a while or something. I'm not saying, like, and again, like, I'm not one of those fans who, like, has to know, like, the inside scoop on everything. Like, I make it a point to, like, avoid spoilers and stuff like that. But, like, it's just kind of, like, weird how, like, they just disappear. And then, like, we'll just randomly show back up or, like, just, I don't know. But because I don't know where Cage is. He may be injured, but it's just kind of, I don't know.
He's not injured, yeah. I don't think
I didn't think he was, but yeah, he's just kind of gone, which is fine, but, just where to go. But with Wardlow, I think he connects more with the fans than Brian Cage does.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I'm not going to say Cage doesn't have, like, charisma or anything like that. I just think it's a different form of personality that not everyone is going to grasp onto, or, like, the majority of people. And obviously, like, in wrestling, like, when you're on, like, an AEW stage, like, you need the majority of people's support, right? Like, it's not like, if you're, like, just doing indie shows, I feel like it's different because you can have a better chance of it being, like, 50-50, or just, like, like, your fans, like, outpowering the others, or stuff like that. But, like, it's obviously more noticeable on TV. So I feel like with just Wardlow, kind of, like, I don't know why, but, like, I go back to, like, the Batista route, like, at the beginning, Batista didn't really talk much. Like, you didn't really hear much from him, but you were, like, intrigued by him. Mm-hmm. You weren't really, like, dying and, like, necessarily paying money to see him right off the bat, but, like, it was an addition to the show, right? And you were intrigued to see, like, how it played out. And that's how I feel like Wardlow is. Like, I feel like regardless of what happens first, I feel like the split with him and MJF is going to be either at the beginning of the feud, and that could lead to Punk, or maybe, like, that'll spawn off of the ending of MJF and Punk, which I kind of lean more towards. But yeah, like, I just think Wardlow has, and we haven't really obviously got much mic time from him, but So I could be wrong, but I don't know. I just feel like once he's really given the opportunity to like show himself, I think we're all going to be kind of like pleasantly surprised in that round. I think once he does, like he's got to be on a fast track to get to like a championship reign of some sort.
Oh yeah, put the TNT title on him. That would be so much fun to watch. Just watching him.
TNT title, yeah.
Like Miro, except the switch the roles of have the babyface just powerbombing the out of like little Peter Avalons.
Yeah, yeah. But imagine a feud with him and Miro, and like where did Miro go? He just kind of disappeared too.
Miro was in purgatory, don't you remember? He was in that white background purgatory, just like trying to figure out. Miro is in a feud with God right now.
That's right. How could I forget?
What?
How could I forget?
That's like the feud of the lifetime, really, if you think about it. You know what I mean? Forget all this like little stuff. Miro's feuding with God himself. God, AEW
can we get an update?
Just...
Can we get a 30-second update? Can he do something?
Yes, I hear you. I think that's a whole nother, like, that's a whole podcast in its own to discuss all that stuff. I mean, like, you know, Serena Deeb to me was a big, like, victim of that, where we'd see her, she'd do something so awesome, and then we wouldn't see her again. The women, I think, suffer more from that than the men. Oh my gosh, Sheeta, absolutely. Sheeta disappeared, and then we saw her on the Battle Royale, and everybody was so excited to see her, and then she disappeared again. Red Velvet, I feel like, was picking up a little steam after the whole Jade Cargill feud, and then she's gone. So you don't allow these women to get over, because it's like, you get a little bit, and then once you get you get something that's picking up steam, they disappear. The only woman I feel like I've seen probably on television the most, and deservedly so, you know, nonetheless, but is Chris Statlander. And just because she's part of a stable that is literally feuds with everybody all the time. So, but yeah, no, it's definitely it's like a wider problem. And I think, you know, not maybe I'm biased because I'm not biased actually. That's not true at all. But the women clearly suffer from it more, I think, than the men do. Because if you think about, I don't know, if Bryan Danielson went away, right, but he just took a big loss. I'm thinking about if Darby Allin, we see Darby Allin every week, and if he's not in a feud, or if he's not, like, in a match that night, we get a promo. Jungle Boy's another great example, too. We see those guys somehow, some way, no matter what.
Especially Jurassic Express.
Yeah, exactly. Which I'm okay with. I'm still mad about. I'm still salty about the title win. Salty about that. And I miss my Rey Fenix, obviously, who's injured, and we're praying he gets better as well.
Oof.
I know, it was rough. And you know what?
Brutal.
I didn't even notice it. I don't know why that just, like, flew over my head. I was staring at the giant monster who just put a guy in a mask through a table, but that's probably what was going on. Or I think I might have caught a fact that they were going to lose, or I had that feeling at that point, so I just had mentally tuned out. But anyways, nonetheless, speaking of tag team actions, the first match, it's crazy to not start AEW off with a match. I don't mind the change every now and then, but we had the first match of the night, which was the mixed tag team match, and this was a whole crap ton of fun with like a bunch of spots back and forth at the beginning, just tagging in and out from the heels. We had the spot with Orange Cassidy doing the kicks to the shin to Britt Baker, and then Britt Baker stomping on his foot. It's like Blue Thunder bombs left and right. Chris Statlander being the boot from Chris Statlander as well. I forgot to mention that as well after the DMD, or after the tags back and forth with Adam Cole and everybody. Some flips to the outside. One of my favorite spots of the match was that incredible shooting star press that Chris Statlander does, and then Orange Cassidy just fell. I thought that was incredible. Stereo super kicks and the kiss with the Britt Baker and Adam Cole. And some awesome near falls off the beach break. An unbelievable Panama Sunrise on the stage, not off the turnbuckle, not whatever, just like straight stage on stage. Chris Statlander is like legendary in this match for me. I thought she is so underrated, and this was a perfect example of it. And then we had the dive out of maybe the one botch of the entire match. Like, I can get over it, and I barely even noticed it, which was the Orange Cassidy jumping over the top rope and getting kicked in the head. But for the most part, towards the end of this match, we had Adam Cole Orange Cassidy going for the, what is it called? The Orange Punch. And Adam Cole moving out of the way, Orange Cassidy bumping into Britt Baker going through the table that Adam Cole and Britt Baker set up. And then Adam Cole hitting the worst low blow. It's the worst low blow in professional wrestling. It's so bad. It never looks believable to me. But and then
and Orange Cassidy has to have the record. I don't mean to cut you off, but when he got hit again with a low blow, I was sitting there thinking like, I don't want to search it because I'm scared of like the search results, but like I wonder like who has the record of receiving the most low blows in AEW, because it's got to be Orange Cassidy.
2021, absolutely, yeah.
Oh, I mean, yes, 2021, yes. Like I feel like every feud he's in, he gets kicked in the little oranges. So it's like, why does or
in the tangerines
or the and his little tangerines, the little anyway, but it's just, I don't know, that just stood out to me because the second that happened I was like, this poor guy, like I feel like it's every week this happens to him.
Yeah,
but I'm
lazy.
sorry.
No, don't worry about it. It's lazy, and plus little tangerines, I'm never gonna forget that. The little clementines. We got a low blow to the clementines for poor Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
And obviously he got hit with the boom, and then the orange just is such a wonderful way. Adam Cole goes, ref, and while he's checking on obviously his girlfriend on the outside, and then the ref jumps in, does the 3 count, and then he goes out and helps Britt Baker. But first, ref, you got to come out, screw her, and count the 3 count, and then okay, now we can focus on Britt Baker on the outside. I'm so curious to hear, obviously, as Britt Baker number 2 fan of all time. Or like maybe 1.5. I don't know. We could talk about it.
Okay. Yeah. We'll talk about it.
Very excited to hear not just about what you thought about the match, obviously, which was a whole load of fun, at least in my opinion, but how you feel about Adam Cole and Britt Baker being a unit on TV, and Chris Statlander and the purity and the love that is Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy as a team.
Yeah. So first, like Chris Statlander, like since she's come back from her injury, like she's just looked amazing. Like I don't know how many months it's been.
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off because I forgot to mention that she is, to me, has been the best consistent in-ring worker for the women's division for the last couple months. Like even if she's like, there was that match on Rampage that wasn't incredible, that tag match. It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't like blow away worthy. All of her spots look great. Because I feel like she doesn't try to do all these fancy maneuvers that you see your Penelope Fords, who's also really consistent and great too. Your Ty Contis and Anna Jays trying to do these intricate big moves. It's like, as I said that, I'm thinking about Penelope Ford just slamming her knee into Ty Conti on the outside on that table in that terrible spot. She just kicks the crap. She just hits the other woman with her body. Like, she doesn't pull back as much or whatever. She just rams into the other woman. It looks, like professional wrestling is supposed to look. It looks real.
Exactly.
So I didn't mean to cut you up, but I'm putting no pun intended. I want to book Chris Statlander over to the moon over and over and over again.
Yeah, to another galaxy.
Grimes. To another I want to boop her to another galaxy. That sounds weird. I just want to put her over to another galaxy. You talk.
Yes. So all that good stuff, like you just said, I'm not even going to try to do a better job summing up that. But I agree with you 100%. But I love her and Cassidy as a tag team. I think it's just a fun little act. And I think, obviously Orange is like the perfect partner for her in that respect. But I'm a fan of Adam Cole and Dr. Britt Baker finally like embracing each other on TV, because I like the way they went about it. They didn't have Cole as a bigger star than Britt, or even, I thought I probably would have minded Britt being a bigger star than Cole. Like they're viewed as equals. And what I really loved, probably the most about everything tonight, was the entrances, right? Like, of course, Adam Cole came out first, but he came out separate. He did his thing. He went through his entire entrance, and then Britt came out second in their team, and she got her own entrance and separately. Like, so obviously they're a team and they're real life boyfriend and girlfriend, but they didn't come out together, and they didn't just tack Britt on with Adam Cole and make her come through his entrance and like kind of go through his motions, right? Like they were a team, and I don't know, that kind of stood out to me, and I just really appreciated Britt having her own entrance. And obviously she's a champion, but they very well could have just had them come out together. So I don't know, that just kind of like meant a lot to me. But the match itself was really fun. Like, it was probably a little bit more fun than I even anticipated it. At first, I was kind of surprised that they were even having their first match as a team on TV so soon. And to be honest, like, part of me is kind of struggling with, like, Adam Cole going straight to a lights out match, just because Orange accidentally like bumped into Britt and Dr. Britt Baker, and she fell through a table. But part of me is like, like good for him. Like he's standing up for his woman. Like he's like right that, anyone would lay a hand on her, much less put her through a table, regardless of whose fault it really was. But what are your thoughts before we kind of move on, like on the lights out match next week that like kind of stemmed from this? Because like part of me is like, are we really at that point? And I know they've obviously been feuding for a while now, but I don't know, like Lights Out is just kind of like another level to me, and it's kind of serious. And I didn't feel like we were at that point yet, but maybe I should feel that way. I don't know.
No, I totally get where you're coming from. And you know what? I had a similar thought of like, I got mad that Britt Baker got put to the table and was laid out like that, like she was like a valet for somebody. It was my first vibe, like with that. And my fiance told me, she felt like a damsel in distress. And I'm like, that's the women's champion. She's not a damsel in distress. She's freaking Dr. Britt Baker. I love how formally you address her, by the way. I think that's wonderful. Like, we can't call her Britt. She's Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
And you know what's funny, really quick, since you mentioned that, like, it annoys me in my real life, everyday interactions with people when, like, at first, like, if I don't know, like, you're a doctor, and I say, oh, well, thank you, Mr. whatever, and they're like, oh, it's Dr. Smith, and, like, that annoys me, because, like, you say it with an attitude, like, I'm supposed to know, so then I make it, maybe I shouldn't be admitting this, but then I make it a point to just say, all right, Mr. Smith, but Britt, like, she's Dr. Britt Baker, like, I don't know, but
yes,
yeah, I'm sorry.
She deserves the respect, yes,
she does.
Like, she could pull, I could be like, if somebody else called her Miss Britt Baker, I'd be, are you kidding me?
She's a doctor.
You should know. I don't care what you do in your life if you've never seen this show that we're talking about right now, but you should know that's
exactly.
Dr. Britt Baker. Exactly. No, but I was upset about that, and she had my fiance was like, they brought the table in. I don't think she was a damsel in distress. She just got bumped, just like anybody else would. She took the bump beautifully too. She like talked me off the ledge about that, and I was like, okay, I can understand that. I still wasn't a huge fan, but I can understand the finish. I actually really like the finish, and the reason I like the finish is exactly because of the lights out thing. And I totally see your perspective, and that was like one of how you can have like dueling thoughts going on at once, and that was one of mine. And then the other one was like, actually, this is freaking hilarious. Like, the best thing about Adam Cole is his facial expressions. Yes, he's super talented in the ring and whatever else, but he's a lot like Taz, where the more angry he gets, the funnier it is. Like, Taz is so good at just being angry about everything. Like, Taz is just like, and then, he's like producing.
And out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. And about like the stupidest little things, like leave it to Taz to have like a title that's not recognized by AEW and just to get angry about it all. I don't know. It's just funny to me. And him and Ricky Starks are such a good pair because of that. But so Adam Cole to me has a very similar vibe where he's really funny when he gets angry about stuff. And that's why this feud with Orange Cassidy, like that match was so entertaining that they had, the singles match. So I think the reason that this works to me is if you look at the lights out match, here's just, if anybody else feels the same way you do too, I try to find, like, my new thing on the internet, Twitter, because Twitter is just such a nightmare. The internet of just people is such a nightmare. It's just such a cesspool of, like, ignorance. Yeah. But, like, tell us how you really feel. I know, but it's like, it's just, ugh. I've been trying to find other people's takes on things that somehow might make me enjoy whatever I'm watching more, rather than just, like, sticking with how I feel about something. So if anybody feels the same way you do about something, another way you might be able to look at it is, like, looking at a lights out match. That's why it's so nice to have someone like you or Zach or somebody on the podcast, too, to get a new perspective on whatever it is, especially if I'm negative about it. Was like, look at a lights out match rather than, like, this big serious thing like it was the blow-off feud with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. And look at it as, like, this is kind of freaking hilarious. This guy, Adam Cole, right? The guy who was so worried about his girlfriend, he had to have the referee come in and count the 3 count for the match, and then he could go out and help Britt, right? Excuse me, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. But also, like, everybody, clear as day, you could tell, Orange Cassidy didn't mean to do that. That was an accident. Orange Cassidy is, like, seems like one of the nicest, soft-spoken guys in the world, right? The only time Orange Cassidy gets fired up is, it seems like, when it has to do with Chris Statlander, like his friend, Not about his own matches, but clearly seems like a nice guy. He's the last person you're going to think is, like, hitting women. You know what I mean? Let's call a spade or whatever. So to me, it's like Adam Cole just is, like, gets so over the top. You bumped into my girlfriend, and she fell through the table that I set up. You know what I mean? Like, and so, you know what? Lights out match. We need to just have, like, the most violent match ever because you accidentally bumped into my girlfriend and she fell through the table that I set up. Like, I almost find it, like, funny, the delusion of Adam Cole, and so that's why I was like, you know what, I can get behind this. Did that make any sense, or did I just ramble for 20 minutes about nothing?
No, it totally does, and I'm not bothered by it. Like, I totally, and when you say that, like, it actually does make a lot more sense. I didn't really think about it that way, and, like, I'm not mad at it. I was just like, I guess for me in my mind, I was like, wow, like, you're really going to, like, because he could have had, like, just, like, a regular Falls Count Anywhere match, like, just, like, a no DQ match, a tables match, or, like, anything. But he went, like, to the full extreme.
Oh, the lights out, yeah, like, exactly.
Yeah, like, why are you going? Because, like, those matches are supposed to be, like, unsanctioned, like, they don't count the record, all that stuff. So, like, that's just, like, where my mind went. And especially because later, like, when he had his backstage promo, like, he was heated and he was, like, upset. Like,
but he looked like a little kid. You know what I mean? You know when you do something, like, really tiny, like, you break a kid's crayon, it's the end of the world. You know what I mean? He looked like like, especially little boys, like, preteen boys, like, just have such a weird little, a temper. The weirdest stuff makes them so angry.
That's true. Yeah, that's
and he reminded me of, like, like children I have watched in my past jobs, like, of just getting angry about absolutely nothing.
Yeah, maybe that's it. You know, maybe I'm gonna marinate on that. But I think that's it. I think you're onto something.
Well, and the other thought is too, and this might be a little bit of a mind, you know what, but, like, they are making they're making it a lights out match, and a lot of people have the theory that Adam Cole, they're doing it so Adam Cole can take a loss, similar to, like, what happened with Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, but have it not affect the record, like the rankings. But my theory is that they're doing that to have people think that. It's like, they're doing that to have people think that, but still Adam Cole's going to win. Does that make sense? So it's going to put... Because really, if Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy had another match, the result wouldn't be in doubt, right? We all know Adam Cole's probably going to be Hangman Page's next challenger once they get through whatever the heck is going on now, maybe at Revolution. So you pretty much know Adam Cole's going to win any sanctioned match. So they put the lights out to actually not necessarily make it so Orange Cassidy can win, but now we have a little bit of doubt in our mind that Orange Cassidy might win.
Yeah, okay, I like that.
Again, I don't mean to make excuses for them. If I were them, I probably wouldn't have booked it this way. But I think this whole feud has been kind of a joke, and I'm trying to take it as a joke rather than, because I don't know, most of this. Yeah. How long have they been? It feels like months at this point.
Yeah, and that's why, like, part of me was like, well, I guess it makes sense, you know, right? Because they're obviously blowing this off so he can get on to, like you said, what hopefully, and what I'm hoping for is his impending feud with Adam Page. That'll result at Revolution, I'm hoping. Because I know, like, I just hope that they don't pull Archer and Page out until Revolution. Like, I don't know. No, like, I hate to be... Match. You know, like, I don't think so, especially with them, like, getting physical already, but I'm not going to get into that yet. But, like, I just, for me, selfishly, that's why I was like, okay, like, the lights out match makes sense in a way because they're finishing this so he can go on to hopefully the championship. So it's going to be a good match, though. And I think, honestly, like, Orange is really gonna, I think, stand out here, and I think he's really gonna get, like, pretty serious and like hardcore. Like, I'm very intrigued to see, like, how far he will go in that type of environment.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. The character development of Orange Cassidy lately, it seems like we're seeing, like, especially even with just the punches that he throws, like, and we had talked about this on the last time we were on a show, I think, together, maybe before the one with Zach too, just about, like, Orange Cassidy's probably going to need to show another layer of Orange Cassidy, because this is only going to... It's not like he can't ever just go back to this, you know, but, like, you can only play the greatest hits for so long, which is funny to think, because he's not, like, an old guy or anything, but he is kind of like a greatest hits wrestler, but in real time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it only has a certain shelf life, like his type of character. Like, you can only do that for so long.
Then again, I say that, Ashley, and we have, you know, the main event and Sting, who's defying age and logic and all that stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm even talking about. But technically, too, just in case we were wondering here, in the men's rankings, Adam Cole is at number 1 because he's 3-0. But Dante Martin is at 4-0, but is number 2. But I think it's because of their overall records. I don't know how they factor all that in. If a certain time of the year they just start factoring in the 2022 records or what they do, but yeah, okay. I don't know.
Just pull them up. Why does Cody look so sad in his picture? Why does he look so sad or concerned? Like, what's wrong, man? But
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, true. And I'm sorry, not to get off on a tangent, but I just want like a list of rules, and like they have the rankings truly work, because
you want the 10 Commandments.
Yes, I do. And I hate to be that person. Maybe I don't know. It's like the OCD in me, but like I have to, like, you have the rankings, right? And like at what point do they challenge for the title? Is it a certain number? Like, why? I mean, where did Archer come from? Like, I don't know. Like, I just have so many questions, like, because, like, at least with a tournament, like, once you beat so-and-so, you're moving on to so-and-so, and it gets one less person until it's you and against the other winner of the bracket. Like, it's going to end at some point. But, like, the rankings, like, we just never know. Once they get to 5, then they're going to get a title shot, or maybe not a title shot, but, like, just something. Like, I don't know. Like, I like the rankings. I don't hate them, but I'm sorry. Like, it bothers me because I want to care even more about them, and, like, it's cool, right? Like, it's a cool concept, and they obviously take it seriously, or somewhat seriously. So, like, just help me, like, understand, like, dumb it down for me, if that's like what it takes. You know what I mean?
No,
I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I care too much about these rankings.
I don't think we should ever apologize for caring. You just want to be more and more invested, and I love that, and I feel the exact same way. I think there's a certain extent, obviously, right? But I agree with you. I just want more knowledge because I want to be more and more invested. You know what I'll say is, like, an example of what you were talking about that I really liked was the TBS tournament, the women's tournament, where they had the women who were in the top 5 have a bye in the first round. Not because they were heels, not because they were baby faces, but just everybody who was in the top 5 got a bye in the first round. I really thought that was a great use of the rankings. Like, things like that, I want, like, give me a week-to-week update on the rankings. You know what I mean? Maybe that would help. Just make it a little bit more canon. And I can't imagine how hard it can be to book sometimes, to, like, make it so the rankings match up with what you want to happen and stuff like this. But, like, turns out, wrestling is scripted. You can make what you want happen. So, yes, there are rules, and when you set your own rules, you have to follow them, and I think that's probably why they haven't ever come out with something like what you're talking about. Because once you set that precedent, you have to follow it. But, I don't know, I just think, why is it telling me to save this on Pinterest? Do you see that? Are you hovering over it at all? It's in the top left corner. It says
I'm on my phone.
Oh, it says I can save it on Pinterest. Okay, maybe the rankings are on Pinterest then. The rankings are outsourced from Pinterest, guys. Breaking news. But yeah, no, I hear what you're saying. I think they're just scared to commit, because then you have to live by your own rules.
Yeah, no, and like, I don't need like specifics. Like, I don't need like a long list, but just like a general idea. Like, once you get to, like, if it's like a number thing, if it's like by the time we get to the next pay-per-view, whoever's at like the top, like, yeah, just like a more generalized idea of, like, okay, cool, like, I'm number 1, but, like, how long am I going to be number 1? Like, what if I've been number 1 for 2 months, but I never got my title shot, but then, like, I lost like 2 matches and now I'm number 2 or number 3, but then I don't know, like, that's just, my brain is just weird.
A while ago, before Double or Nothing.
Yeah, but we can get back to the card. But just talking about rankings, like, it's just like a thorn in my side, man. I don't know why. Like, this bugs me so much.
I get that. I have to think about too that we're only a couple years into this whole thing, and I hope by 5 years things are a little bit more fleshed out. I think things will change, But I'm with you. I think I say we continue to hold them to a higher standard. And they'll continue to try to reach it, which we saw here. It sounds like last week everybody held them, not just myself, right, but, like, held them to a higher standards of, like, you can't have 17 different interruptions backstage, like, and during interviews and stuff like that. You're lazy. You have to come up with something different. And this week we had, like, one. So definitely this is the company that listens, at least for the most part.
For sure, yeah.
Speaking of which, backstage, right? Look at that transition. Backstage, Chris Jericho, Ortiz, and Santana are all being interviewed by what's his name again? I always forget. Alex Marvez. Yeah, okay, there it is. And they're just talking about Eddie Kingston and 2.0 again. We'll be quick about this because I don't know, but this is just like the same same match to me, different like editions of it. I'm so over this at this point. And I'm the only one who didn't seem to notice Chris Jericho's hairline at first. I guess that just shows you that I think it shows you that I have an eye doctor appointment tomorrow, so that's good. Because I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, it was like the first thing that I saw. Like, and I was like, I didn't say anything. I don't know. Like, I just, because like the rest of his hair wasn't even that dark. So like, I don't know. I was just kind of more perplexed. That's why like I didn't even really know what to say.
It was like a bad spray tan.
Yeah. Poor guy. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but what about the actual wrestling part, nonetheless, right? That whole thing that we're talking about. The whole Eddie Kingston 2.0, Daniel, Ortiz, Santana, is this exciting to you? Are you into this? It sounded like they were trying to move on from it a little bit with Santana and Ortiz saying, like, Chris, when have you ever done anything for us or whatever? And I did like that because let's make that canon, right? Like, it's time to have the Santana and Ortiz start going after the belt. I don't know why I was saying it like that. The belts. They're trying to go after the title belts, but the feud for me, I'm done. They're having another match. It seems like on Rampage. I'm pretty much done with this.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if they were gonna go the route of trying to have like Eddie and Chris, like we're best friends. Kingston and Jericho.
Can they coexist?
Yeah. I wonder have you heard that term somewhere before? Can they coexist? Has such a good ring to it.
It's an old storyline thing that they used to do back in the day.
Oh man, that's so fitting. But yeah, so I thought that they were going to go that route, and I'm kind of happy that it doesn't really appear that they are at this point, because I think what should be the focus here is Santana and Ortiz calling out Jericho like they did this week and saying what they said, and then Kingston kind of having their back and them siding more with Kingston, and this really being the breakup of the inner circle, or at least like. Or Santana and Ortiz kind of doing their own thing and breaking off their own path and hopefully getting the titles. And that I just want to see like a straight up one-on-one match with Jericho and Kingston. Like I feel like with this one we need to get straight to the point. And again, like it's kind of weird with the timing wise, because what is this, like January 20th, I think, today. Mm-hmm. So we still have a little, like I would say, like a month and at least 6 Dynamites until Revolution. So I don't know, and I know they're having like their, what is it called, like the Beach Week or something like that next week.
Beach Week. I love that you called it Beach Week.
Something.
We're calling it Beach Week from now on.
But yeah, for Beach Week, we'll just go with that. Yeah, so like for Beach Week, like it's obviously not that big of a show, but it's a name of a show, right? Like it's a themed show, so I'm sure they'll have like some trees.
Apparently it is. It's Beach Break.
Really?
It's Beach Break. I can't take you seriously. I don't know why that's so funny to me. Beach Week.
Oh man, but yeah,
it's like spring break for AEW Dynamite.
Yeah, I have no idea. I just
here's my question for you. Do you want to see, like, do you have a general desire to see Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho in a match?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I like what they've done, and that's kind of like my point with it. Like, I just want Santana and Ortiz to do their own thing. It'd be clear that Eddie is with them, but not like that's not the main focus here. But have the focus on Jericho and Kingston. But now I want that to kind of be made apparent next week, so that now the weeks coming out we can see the promos and stuff like that. Because I feel like them two going off kind of like with Kingston and Punk in the same respect, and kind of have it in the ring so you can get that energy, because I think that's where Kingston thrives the most, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be as long and as serious or anything like that, but I just feel like they could get, and especially I just, say what you want about Jericho, but I feel like he can get a lot out of people promo-wise, and not saying Eddie Kingston needs that at all, but I just think that it would kind of entice Eddie more in a way, and just, I don't know, like I just feel like it'd be fun.
Yeah, I see. This is why I bring you on. You're so much more positive about this stuff, because I'm just not. You have a better outlook on this stuff, and I
just cracked on their rankings.
Yeah, exactly. See, I'm gonna try to use your outlook on this a little bit more, because I'm so down on this. I literally think I just decided not to talk about it. There was a whole segment in our match last week, and on the review show I said I'm just not going to talk about this. I was just that disinterested, because I mean, it's the same, to me, it's the same thing, like, same thing, just a different version of it, you know, same, whether it's a backstage interview, or an interview in the ring, or a match or a plunder brawl, or it's like, I feel like I'm just seeing the same thing over and over again, but just with different faces. So the way I measure this is I see how over was Eddie Kingston before he started this, and where is he now? And I feel like Eddie Kingston is way less of a concern than he was before he started doing whatever this whole thing was. So to me, it hasn't been successful. Do I want to see Jericho versus Eddie Kingston if I pose the same question to myself? Not really. I don't think Jericho in this current, right, the man isn't Sting, first of all. And then besides that, right, he's 50-something years old. He's not going to be able to keep up with the style that Eddie Kingston has for me in order to put on an exciting enough match. Because Eddie Kingston is not your flippy-dippy guy, right? And he's also not, like, he's pretty technically sound, but that's not what you think about with Eddie Kingston. He's a brawler, right? Like, and Jericho just doesn't fit for me, you know? I don't know if I'm making any sense with that, but I think about like, how fun and fast-paced that match with CM Punk was. Oh my gosh, that was probably my favorite match at the pay-per-view. I just can't see that.
Same.
Like, I can't see that getting that exciting at, like, with Chris Jericho and you know, and his new hairline. I don't see where that's gonna have the same energy. So I don't know. I love 2.0 though. I think 2.0 are just, I sing their praises every single week on the show, and Daniel Garcia as well. Is just getting better and better, and I think he's going to learn. Funny enough, I think he's going to learn a lot from 2.0 about, could you imagine Daniel Garcia without 2.0? I feel like he would have been so serious and wouldn't have talked as much, and would have just been like this weird, like, we could have gone with, like, you know, daddy's money kid to me. Like, that was the vibe I would have gotten. This is so much better. He's just like a goofball and, like, is able to not take himself so terribly seriously. So I love 2.0, and I'm always happy to see them on my screen. But I'm getting a little sick of the same drawn out stuff. It's like, let's put 2.0. Like, how is this any different from the Sting Darby Allin stuff, you know? Besides, we're adding a can they coexist factor.
See, that's interesting because to me, like, I was at the Dark tapings this past Saturday.
Just a casual Saturday.
Yeah, just, you know, whatever. But look, like, side note, AEW, like, really hooks you up, right? Like, the tickets for the tapings are free. It's just like a first come, first serve thing. So, like, you have to be like, once they drop, you have to, you know, get them while you can. Mm-hmm. And I ended up getting free parking too, like, because the set that I was going to was the 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So I don't know, but, like, I don't know if it was like a time thing, but by the time I was pulling up and, like, it was me and a few other people, it was free parking. So
you just coming on this podcast to brag about it?
No, but, like, so my point with it, so the point that I was making was, I have a newfound respect for 2.0 after this past weekend, seeing them live and in person. Like, they really are animated, and they really do add energy and life to, like, the match that they're in, and with Garcia respectfully, and, like, just the look of them. It's like kind of like an oxymoron. Like, you have him, like, he gets serious, right? Like, he does still have, like, that serious face and that serious look sometimes, but, like, I just love, like, and for whatever reason, it just really stood out to me, like, we saw like them in two different matches, right? So each time, like, the second Garcia would win, they jump in the ring and they throw his towel on him, and it's just like they're celebrating, but he's serious, and it's just like it's funny. So, like, it finally clicked with me with him. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, I don't know, like, I get what you're saying, but to me, with Kingston and Jericho, before we move on, like, I think it hasn't even really began yet. Put it that way. And I think that, like, if it's going to, it needs to happen, like, next week, and then we can, like, get into the promo and then see where it goes from there.
I was gonna say, but I think get them on the microphone. Get them on the microphone, one-on-one.
That's what we need, yeah. I feel like you may feel better about it once we get, like, a good promo exchange from them, like, in the ring, in front of a live crowd, like, on Dynamite, whatever. But I think the match itself would end up being, like, a no DQ, or, like, if it's at Revolution, Orlando street fight type thing, and I don't think it would be like a regular standard match.
Oh yeah, no, and it wouldn't be a standard street fight. Obviously, it would have specific Orlando rules to it.
It would have to be, of course, whole another level. Pretty much lights out.
As you were saying that, I'm thinking about Daniel Garcia is like Hook if he wasn't cool. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
he's a really good example of like your angry preteen boy. You know what I mean? Like he just like he just snorts and snarls and grits his teeth and then makes really bad jokes, and it's just like I adore him, and I think he is like, if you got the four pillars, I think you got to have some other like surrounding structures, and I think he's definitely going to be one of them. Like, what an amazing find. Obviously as he was popping on the indie scene, but for AEW, I just think he's been such a good. He's like paying his dues right now, and when I say paying his dues, I think it means he's learning so much. So you know what, Ash, I will leave. I am a little bit more positive about the Eddie Kingston Chris Jericho. I have a little more hope. I'm excited for the promo exchange if we get there. Because you're right. They one-on-one haven't really started. It's just AEW does the same thing with stable versus stable, even though Eddie Kingston doesn't really have a stable. That, you know, this is my example of, like, this is going on. Like, get to the point. You know what I mean? I just, like, we don't need to save this for later. You have so many amazing wrestlers on your roster. Stop saving stuff for later. Just give it to me. Give it to me like you gave me Grand Slam, that match between Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson, like, out of the blue. Like, sometimes I just need those every now and then. And we actually, I guess we got that later on in the show, or maybe some people did. Not necessarily for me, but... All right, let's move on. We still got a lot to cover, and this match was so long, and it really outstayed its welcome for me. CM Punk, Shawn Spears, they go back and forth, you know, for hours, and then all of a sudden, CM Punk hits Shawn Spears. Obviously, I'm being facetious. CM Punk, within maybe 5 seconds, they go a little grappling back and forth, kind of standing up, but CM Punk hits the go to sleep and pin Shawn Spears, and that's the match. And I'm just gonna throw this right over to you. What did you think of this classic?
Yeah, I have 5 stars. I mean, how can it not be? You know, the year's over. I mean, we've seen match of the year, so everything else is pretty irrelevant.
I did forget to mention too, MJF did come out to do they did the entrances. Shawn Spears' entrance is amazing, by the way.
I know. I love the visual.
God, he just knows what he's doing in this. Like, he fits. I feel like we finally found where Shawn Spears fits so well. Yeah. He's so good at what he does. I was thinking too, I forgot to mention this. I'm sorry, I promise I'll throw it over to you after this. But you said Wardlow is like Batista, right, for Triple H, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, so what does that make Shawn Spears? Because we know he's not Randy Orton. Oh my God, Shawn Spears is Ric Flair.
Oh God. Oh God.
And it's got parallels, but I thought yes, he just plays his part so well. And then obviously MJF, like I said, came out and did his whole entrance and was on commentary for this match as well. But yes, before we talk about post match, what did you think?
Yeah, no, I think my favorite part was because earlier in MJF's promo, he had mentioned that he was going to be on commentary, and like he made a point to mention that, and he literally didn't really get a chance to say anything on commentary at all. Like, he didn't get a chance to really sit down. Like, I love that his whole thing is talking, obviously, and he was just completely cut off because of how short the match was. I loved it because it was the exact opposite of what we got last week. And, you know, like, part of me, like, you know, feels a little bit because I'm a Shawn Spears fan, you know, like, a lot of people crap on him, and I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I dig him, you know, like, I don't think he deserves the hate and the disrespect that he gets, but, you know, like, especially this game, like, I think you said it perfectly, like, I think this is him, and I think this is, like, the ideal, like, character and version or whatever of him, so I think he slotted perfectly, and I think once MJF and Wardlow do break up, like, Shawn is like the perfect like number 2 guy for MJF in a different way now. Like, it won't obviously be the muscle, but it'll be the chairman. You know, like, you don't really need muscles when you have a weapon, so it is what it is. But I really liked what they did with this week. But I'll stop there because I didn't really understand the confrontation after that, though.
Okay, or we'll get into that, and I'll just say real quick, so we don't stay on this too long, I totally agree. I thought this was brilliant. This was brilliant. Like, I was thinking to myself, because the matches before, like, I felt like, I don't think I was ready to, like, digest, I don't know, the mood, the vibe was set, at least subjectively for me. Like, wasn't about to, like, digest another 15 to 10 minute, 7 to 15 minute match of just, like, I don't know. Like, Shawn Spears, like you said, like, I'm not a Shawn Spears apologist, and I don't have anything against him, but on this show, particularly, like, there wasn't room for a Shawn Spears match for me on this card. And, just with everything else that was going on, and this was perfect. Like, I literally was so elated by this. I just thought this was, like, I don't know why. It just worked. I can't even dictate it very well. It just worked so well for me. This was my favorite decision of the show, I thought. I thought it was just, like, because nobody called this. At least I didn't, for sure, and I didn't see anybody coming up with this online. Like, CM Punk's gonna, defeat Shawn Spears in a couple seconds, and he didn't lose any credibility. Because in that weird little exchange they had in the beginning, like, it wasn't like Shawn Spears, like, was a bad wrestler or anything. Maybe he was over-eager at best. But CM Punk just got the better of him. Just outsmarted him, just out-wrestled him real quick like that. And, like, it adds to the realism of, yeah, you can just, like, hit your big move sometimes right off the back and win. I thought
that's why it's a finisher.
Exactly, right? Who says your finisher has to be 20 minutes into a match, And the dichotomy between, like, the entrances and then, like, especially Shawn Spears' entrance where he's just sitting there for, like, 5 minutes like Beyonce in the chair. No, not Beyonce. Dirty Dancing? Is that the reference? I'm not hip. Don't ignore me. All right, so he's sitting there in the chair. I was waiting for him to just grab the thing and the water to come down. It's Dirty Dancing. That's what it is. And the dichotomy between those entrances and MJF's entrance and everything, too, to, like, boom, match over. I just thought it was so, it lit a fire under my butt for, like, the, halfway point of Dynamite. I think I needed it at that point. So, and then, obviously, post-match, we had MJF coming down to try to blindside Punk. The timing wasn't so great, but he had a great suit on, so I'll let him go. And then, CM Punk grabs the scarf. MJF is able to get out of the way. And you know what? Ashley, I know how you felt about this, and I think I agree with you. But the entire time he's standing on the turnbuckle with the scarf, I'm literally going, put the scarf on. Put the scarf. Just do it. Are you gonna put the scarf on? Did you put the scarf on? Yes. I was like, yes. I literally had, like, more satisfaction about him hitting the, like, scarf or putting the scarf on than I did when Hangman Page won the AEW title. Like, that was a more was he gonna put the scarf on or not? It was, like, a more enticing storyline to me than anything else that AEW's done. So, for all that it was worth, he put the scarf on, so I was happy.
He did. He looked great in it. He looked great. The only thing that I don't even want to say, like, I had a problem with it, because I don't really know how I feel, but, like, the whole point of the past few weeks is, like, Punk is trying to get his hands on MJF, and you can't even get close enough or in the same vicinity as him. Like, even when they had the match, like, Punk kind of chased him throughout the arena, and he still couldn't get to him. So, like, he finally got him, and he very easily could have, like, swung at him, tackled him, like, just got him. Like, they were in the ring for a good, I don't know how many seconds, but it was multiple seconds, okay? And he was just kind of standing there staring at him. Like, I get, like, maybe your first couple seconds, like, you're both kind of like a deer in headlights type thing, like, oh wow, like, we're face to face, but, like, that only lasts for, like, a few seconds. And then, I don't know, like, I just kind of expected him to at least, like, swing up at MJF, and maybe MJF missed, and then Punk was holding on with his left hand to the scarf, and that's how, I don't know, just something like that. Like, maybe, again, like, I'm reading kind of too much into it, and it didn't make me, like, hate the segment at all, but I don't know, I just felt like it was just kind of like, you got him, and you didn't really do anything. So, I don't know. Maybe that was Punk playing my games with MJF, but I don't know.
No, I totally.
It just kind of stood out to me.
No, I think maybe what they were going for was that like you were getting teased with it. You know what I mean? Like, as a fan watching it, like, almost, or are they gonna come to blows, and, like, CM Punk didn't get the chance or whatever you want to put, MJF escaped again. I think that was the point, but I can see where you're coming from. I think I was too focused on the scarf. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know why. I just really wanted to see him put the scarf on. It was right. He was holding it. He really took his time with it too. He had me.
He did.
He had me on the hook
at first.
Yeah, I didn't think he was gonna do it. I thought he was gonna throw. I was gonna be so angry if he just threw it back at him.
Yes.
But he put the scarf on, so I left this segment happy.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly right. So what's next? Backstage, Billy Gunn, Christian Cage. The gun boys threw Christian Cage into a thing, and a bunch of times, and I don't really have much to say about this because we've got a whole lot of show to talk about. Do you?
Not really.
Okay, we could talk about, obviously this is, enticing stuff. So we could talk about the Gun Club brothers after the show, obviously.
Oh.
All right, Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes comes down during the commercial break. He sets up a ladder in the ring, which kind of gave that away real quick, but and then he later on did, if I don't forget to say it, he did the WWE trope, right? The WWE cliche, climb the ladder. It's just like, why are you climbing the ladder? Like, why? It just was, it's symbolism. He was sitting there like, God, they're going to eat this up, this symbolism. It's a metaphor. What is it? It's not a metaphor. It's not even symbolism. It's just a ladder. Whatever.
It's foreshadowing?
What'd you say?
Foreshadowing?
Yeah, but, like, is it even? I don't, whatever. It just felt like a spoiler. But, and it's like, it felt like they were spoiling something I wasn't even interested in at first. But anyways, let's talk about what happened. And as I say that, I don't really even know how to talk about what happened because Cody Rhodes talked about a lot of stuff for like 20 minutes. And none of it really seemed to tie together. He talked about the Forbidden Door and how he was the Forbidden Door. He talked about the Young Bucks. He said that he did do the thing that I was hoping he would do, but I don't know why he pulled the trigger now. I didn't. He talked about the whole CM Punk like pipe bomb and basically said that CM Punk didn't do anything and that he did. And I'm like, he's not wrong, but I don't know if he's still trying to get people to cheer him. He was really getting booed. It was hard to focus on anything he was saying. He talked about Red Dragon and the Bucks wrestling and something about Jay Lethal, and then that's really where I started to tune out, I think. They just said Jay Lethal, and I was uninterested all of a sudden. But yeah, I don't know. He made a reference to the lethal cutter no one kicks out of. I don't know anything about that. He talked about Malachi Black, and everybody knows how he hates to lose. And I was thinking, God, that little stupid blemish on Malachi Black's record is you, Cody Rhodes, that stupid thing. He talked about Brody Lee and Brody King, and to me it felt grabby, and I hate to say that because, like, rest in peace, obviously, all the respect to Brody Lee. It just felt unnecessary. Like, it was weird. None of this made sense to me. So I'm that's the most I'm going to recap because there was one more thing I think I wanted to mention, and I don't even. Oh, he talked about his contract.
The Sammy.
Oh yeah, that was the important part. That was the point of this whole segment, right? Supposedly.
Right.
The match with Sammy Guevara, thank you, was like he's going to have a ladder match for these interim. Are there 2 titles? Do they have 2 titles right now, I guess?
I think so.
Titles, which is weird. I don't know why they did that. I hope they give one away, and if they do, Cody Rhodes, I love you, and I think everything you're doing right now is great, and I would cheer you. Can I have the TNT title? I can't wait for
Rhodes to the top season 2.
Yeah, you know what? I watched a lot of that season 1, and I watched it because I was curious, and I all my suspicions were confirmed, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. But yes, Cody Rhodes and Sammy Guevara are going to have a match at Beach Break I assume it's going to be the opening match for the interim TNT championships. Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing, Ashley. I'm going to throw this one over to you. Help me.
Yeah,
world. Sorry. Before I want to mention that he talked about how this is a secondary title. The TNT isn't a secondary title. Like, tried to make that canon, and I'm thinking, you just can't challenge for the world title.
Well, Tony Khan has said that too. Like, Tony Khan has said that in the interviews, like, that I've heard with whatever radio station or whatever, various places, that, like, because one person in particular had referenced it being, like, the secondary title or called it something to that effect, and he, like, pretty much cut them off and was like, no, like, it's not a secondary title, like, so I think, like, they all, like, when I say they, like, all the executives and, like, everyone who's, like, whoever books or whatever, like, they try to make that a driving point for whatever reason, because it stood out to me, like, when I had heard it in, like, the interview, whatever interview it was at the time.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Well.
I don't mean to argue with him about it too. It's more not that I'm arguing with Cody Rhodes personally, but, like, I more so mean, like, it's a supply and demand thing, right? The world title gets defended less because it's the bigger title. The TNT is a television title. It's going to get defended on television more so. So, like, it's not like you're almost naturally going to think less of it because you see more of it, if that makes any sense. So it's not like, oh, the TNT title isn't as important, but it's also when it's not, the TNT title is not in the main event of Revolution or it's not in the main event of Full Gear. It's the world title that is. Once they have the TNT in the main event of a pay-per-view, then I can talk to you about how it's not a secondary title. You know what I mean? That's my argument, I would guess.
No, for sure. And I agree with you, too. Like, my thing is, like, I don't necessarily see what would be even what's so wrong about a secondary title? Like everyone knows like there's only one world champion, you know what I mean? So it's like it's just by default, like you're just not the world champion, and being the world champion by default makes you number one, right? You're number one in the rankings, literally. Or in like, if you were to rank your champions, like for instance, Adam Page would be on the top. Like that's just how it is. Like it's not a slight on that championship, that champion, whoever it is. Like it's just kind of how it is. Like I don't know. Like it's kind of like you can be like a national champion and then like you win. I don't know. Like it's just there's levels to it, right? So like
I was waiting for you to say that there's levels to this. You know what? Yeah, I just feel like they need to keep it separate. Like just stop talking. Because then like why wouldn't Cody Rhodes why wouldn't you challenge for the TNT title and the world title? Like I just feel like they need to be kept in separate worlds. Don't try to canonize that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. But I think for Cody's character and respect as well, like he is the only one to, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he's the only one to ever say like on TV, like, oh, this isn't a secondary title, like to actually specifically say that, you know. And of course, like Sammy has like said, this is like he's gonna defend it every week. He's gonna be like a fighting champion and all that. But like Cody makes it a point to say like this isn't a secondary championship. So I think that kind of plays into the ego for his character, whether it's a good or a bad thing. And the whole again, like we could sit here for a whole another hour and dissect like every part of what he said. But to me, like part of me, like, I still, like, I'm in the camp where I believe that he knows what he's doing and this is all part of a master plan and this is another very, very slow burn for him to actually turn. Because for him to keep referencing it and to keep, I don't know, making it a big deal in his promos and to be doing these crazy things, because we know he's going to do something crazy next week, right? Like, he's in a ladder match. And, like, he's always the wrestler to get, like, I don't want to say, like, a gimmick match in a disrespectful way, but like a gimmick match, you know, like a stipulation match. So like he's always, I don't know, like it just kind of everything kind of plays into itself. But I kind of wished last night's focus would have just been on Sammy, because like the past 2 weeks that he's been gone, it's all like the focus has been on, oh well, you know, the interim TNT champion, like we had to have that match to even crown the interim champion, and then like I don't know, like it's just kind of, my opinion, we didn't even really need an interim champion to begin with. He was only gone for 2 weeks, and I'm happy he's back. You know, I'm happy he's healthy. I mean, obviously that's probably a good sign that he's back. But yeah, like I don't know, like it just everything with him feels forced, and that's why I feel like we're still just on a path to him actually becoming heel one day, regardless of when that is. But yeah, man, like I don't know, like I just wish the majority of the focus would have been on the championship, you know, and not just, and maybe that's part of the plan too, you know, like he kind of makes you question everything, which I guess may be part of the plan. I don't know. It's kind of like a mind, you know what.
Yeah, no, and that's a really good point about the Sammy Guevara part. I didn't think about that. I think all of this, I almost feel like if he came out and just like you said, just focus on the Sammy Guevara part and like in the match that's going to happen next week, you would have, like, you and I would have been on this podcast talking about, wait, but Ashley, what about the contract thing? Like, why didn't he talk about this? Why, I wonder what he's doing with this. What's going on here? Now I just feel like he's like, oh, he mentioned everything and he gave everything only a sentence. And there's so much revolving the Codyverse right now that took 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, and so I just, the one thing I'll say, like, he did have a good line that I liked, but it didn't matter because no one watches NXT 2.0. I'm sorry, Zach. But no one watches NXT 2.0, right? Like, he made that joke about Walter's new ring name, Gunther, whatever, and that was funny, and it got a little pop, but also no one watches NXT 2.0. So it's almost like you take a rib at it, but like, and he said something about the Wednesday Night Wars again that really just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and the Red Dragon thing, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I didn't like that. You had mentioned that too, and I forgot about that part. Like, I didn't really like that, him calling them like developmental, and maybe that's going to play out at some point, but like these guys are with Adam Cole, who's supposed to be a big star, and like, I don't know, like I kind of didn't like that phrasing.
Yeah, and Bobby Fish is particularly, you know, I have my own feelings of Kyle O'Reilly. They're both great wrestlers, but I don't know, like they're definitely not developmental. They are fully developed, for lack of a better term, right? It didn't, none of this, and it didn't, if they were in a feud, fine, we could work with something like that. Like, it's grabby, but it works. But, like, this was all just felt like, let me take, little, little Nerf gun shots at everybody, but it's not really going to do an effect. I'm just going to, because it's a Nerf bullet, you know what I mean? But I'm just going to make sure I get every single person. It just felt like he tried to do too much of not even a good thing. And I will disagree with you on one thing. I'll say, I feel like we've come on this podcast talking about Cody Rhodes a lot. And what the heck is Cody Rhodes doing? And what's this and what's that? And, oh, he knows what he's doing, but, oh, we have trust in AEW, and AEW's earned our trust, and yada, yada, yada. I've lost the faith. I don't think this guy has any idea what he's doing at this point. And I think he's turned heel, and he just doesn't even know it. And I'll say that...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like the difference is, so... Let's go back to, 2014 Roman Reigns, right? Forced down our throats babyface, right? I'm thinking about, that's the same year. That's about the right time, right?
Yeah. 14, 15 really, really polished it off, yeah.
Yeah, blue-eyed Roman Reigns, right? Blue-eyed contacts Roman Reigns, just being forced down our throats, getting booed out of the building, it's just not working. Yet, Roman Reigns didn't do heelish things, right? Maybe the whole sassafras thing. But other than that, he was suffering succotash, whatever. But other than that, he didn't do heelish stuff. So still technically he was supposed to be a face, right? Cody Rhodes' value system is such, I think, and I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I actually really like Cody Rhodes. We've talked about this 100 times. I met him at a diner. Seemed like a really nice guy. But he also, has a lot of money, all this other stuff. His humble brags really bother me. These weird, there's not, I'm part of a family that's just too good for me, or whatever. My family is this really, it's these weird, it's a way to brag about something, but not brag about something, and it drives me nuts. He's someone I think I would just feel like I was losing my mind if I had to hang out with, genuinely. But he comes off heelish, I think, when he's trying to be a babyface, if that makes any sense. And I think it's because once the fans have turned on you, you're screwed. It doesn't matter what you do, unless you go away for a long time. What you do, how you say it, what you say, it's not going to change. Once the fans have turned on you, they have turned on you. And so it just feels more and more desperate every week. I don't think I'm alone in thinking that either. And so this was just a waste of 20 minutes for me, because it didn't provide any impact. And like you said, if he had just focused on Sammy Guevara, at least we could be sitting here talking about, oh, but I wonder what Cody Rhodes is doing about his contract, and I wonder about this, and that. I don't care about any of that at this point. He just kind of laid all his cards out on the table, and they all look stupid to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And I just because to me, I've noticed, so the thing that really stood out to me a couple weeks ago when he had challenged Sammy to the championship match to begin with, he made that slide where he walked. First of all, he walked in front of Sammy and Tony on the stage. I don't know if you remember. He acted like he was going towards the heel exit entrance, whatever, but then turned around and went right back to the babyface one. That was two things, because one, you never walk in front of the people that you're on camera with, because it's first it's disrespectful, and you mess up the shine, all that stuff, and then he was going obviously towards the bad guy direction, right? So he just does these little things to where I just feel I don't know, I just feel like this is, maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel and I don't think this was his goal from the beginning of AEW, but I feel with all of the shows leading up to this, the more and more places that they were going to, the more and more cities started booing him. It wasn't just one pocket or one area. It was pretty much everywhere they go now. He gets the majority of boos now. And I don't know. I think that, and maybe there's just not a strong female or family presence crowd-wise there, but at least with Roman Reigns, you would still hear it was kind of like the John Cena effect in a way.
Yeah.
You would hear the majority, the second the music, his entrance music would play, you would hear that roar of predominantly men booing him, right? And then then you would start to hear the females and the kids chime in because it died down. But you don't really hear that for Cody, and maybe that's just the lack of, like I said, of a specific type of crowd or diverse crowd, and I don't mean diverse in any other type of way, but just like male,
Gender,
female,
yeah.
family wise. Yeah, just because obviously WWE is more family predominant, like
Well,
especially
also,
nowadays.
I think we can call it out that AEW does a really good job of alienating the female audience.
Yeah, it's just a different vibe. Yeah, it's just completely different in that respect. So yeah, I mean, long story short, like I just feel like I don't like. Part of me wonders if for instance, like this version of Cody was in like WWE or they were in like that universe, if the women and like the kids would be cheering him at all, or if it would just all be boos right now, or what that would be. Just because I don't know, maybe that's like just weird, but like I feel like that would kind of be more of a sign of like, okay, should he actually turn, or is this just like a temporary thing? People are just getting it out of their system, and like maybe by summertime he'll be back to fan favorite Cody again. I don't know. And I don't know if it's going to be like a specific feud that amplifies it, but I feel like he is aware. I feel like he doesn't want to be a heel still, but I feel like he knows he has to. So like he's starting to slowly play into it. I don't know, but again, I could be off.
I hope you're right, genuinely. I have a pessimistic view on this. I think he's just going to keep doing this until, I mean, he's in his 30s now. I think he shouldn't keep doing this until, right, the fans, like, eventually, you boo something enough, then things aren't changing, whatever. Eventually, you just get disinterested. You just start to lose interest in something. And like you said, without the audience, without a counterbalance in the audience, like your John Cena's or your families and women or whatever, like, I don't know. I think we are the women in the female audience. I'm not cheering Cody Rhodes unless he's near me because I want his weight belt. But and that other TNT title they're not going to need. But it's just I'm never going to quit with that until I get that weight belt. By the way, speaking of which, totally off track. Happy birthday to R-Truth. I just want to point out the fact that my life is completed today on January 20th because Ron Killings, aka R-Truth, liked one of my tweets that said happy birthday to him. So I know it just gets dope. I needed a win, Ashley. I needed a win, and I got a win. I got the win, in fact. But so yeah, obviously I feel like I'm doing better than whatever Cody Rhodes is doing right now.
Shout out to you.
Getting R-Truth like tweets. But yeah, I just feel like it's eventually you just kind of get indifferent, and there's nothing worse for a professional wrestler than an indifferent crowd. Like, cause how long is there going to be this passion to boo Cody Rhodes? Eventually you're going to give up, right? Cause he's not going to turn heel. Like, the crowd's going to be like, all right, well, we just don't care, At least that's how I feel like I would eventually feel. The fan base could obviously be different than that. But I feel like he knows, and he is trying to get those cheers. Why else would he put himself in a feud against Stan Lambert? And obviously that seemed to take a weird turn. Like, that whole thing happened, and then we just didn't go anywhere with it. I don't know if COVID got in the way of some stuff or the Sammy Guevara stuff, but it's like we had that whole thing with Brandy, and then nothing, to follow up with that. Besides nothing to follow up with that, right? There was no even Ethan Page or Scorpio Sky match with Dustin Rhodes. Am I wrong about that?
I don't think so.
If there was, Lambert, it was so irrelevant.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. The Dustin part, I don't know, because part of me, for whatever reason, wants to feel like there was a recent Dustin match, but now I'm like, is it just because I just saw him with Sammy?
I was just gonna say, I think it was a Sammy Guevara one. Yeah,
so I don't think so. But Dan Lambert will still like drop like a Cody reference in his promos since then. But nothing like specific.
I hate those, by the way.
He'll reference Cody. Like, he'll say Cody's name and like something crappy about him, but like, and then keep it moving. But that's it, really.
And I don't know if that's them thinking they're planting seeds or something, but like, you don't pair yourself, right? He's probably got a lot of pull backstage. You're not pairing yourself against Dan Lambert, the one person who is universally booed, except when he gets paired in a feud with Cody Rhodes, by the way. But like, if you think you're a heel, and it's a perfect, if you think you're a babyface, I mean, or if you think you're a heel, that you wouldn't pair yourself with Dan Lambert. And it's a perfect example of how the dynamic's not going to work in this weird gray area you think you're in. Not you, Ashley, but Cody Rhodes thinks he's in, right? Like, it doesn't make sense when you pair someone against Dan Lambert, because it's weird. Like, as a crowd, I don't know what to do. Am I supposed to cheer Dan Lambert? Because I know I don't like him. But this other blonde guy that's coming out and arrogant and talking about this and that or whatever, I know I don't like him either. So I'm just disinterested. I don't like the two people who are feuding. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know. I totally get it.
I really hope you're right, though.
Yeah,
I want to like
maybe
Cody.
I'm just way too, maybe I'm just too, like, optimistic on this one, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going to keep it at that.
I think your optimism balances out my pessimism, but it's
Perfect.
Cody Rhodes and Chris Jericho that you always reel me back in on.
Maybe I just have a soft spot for them, and maybe that's why I'm just so, like, I don't know, passionate for them in like a weird way. Like, I don't know, like, I try to see, like, and I guess it's because, like, they've been around so long, right? So I'm like, they have to know, they have to understand, like, because if like we can see it, if a fan can see it, like, them as professionals, they have to know, right? So now it's just a matter of if they're gonna acknowledge it and embrace it, or if they're just gonna be stubborn and just do what they want still. So that's why I feel like, and I promise I'll wrap it up here, but that's why I feel like he's playing into this, because he himself doesn't want to be a bad guy. Like, he has said multiple times too, like, he truly doesn't want to be a bad guy. He wants to be able to do his charity work and not have anyone question him and, like, all that stuff, because, like, his image is very important to him, and that's, you know, like, a main thing, like, a main, like, deterrent for him turning, I guess. But, like, I feel like his wrestler brain and heart knows, like, he has to do this, and it's not going to be forever. Like, this thing could last a year, 2 years, just to get it out of everyone's system, say that he did it, and then he can go back on his word for not being able to challenge for the world championship then, and, like, there's just so much I could play off of it. So, like, I just feel like it's inevitable, you know? Like, I just feel like he may be dragging it out too, because he probably doesn't want to, and, you know, I don't blame him, because it probably does hurt him, you know? Like, he's a very emotional guy, and if he's just, like, acting, then kudos to him. But, like, I feel like with Cody, like, you see and you feel the emotion, and I don't think that's fake, you know? Like, I feel like this probably really does bother him. Like, he doesn't want to turn, and that's why, like, the stuff that he says is like, partly true, you know? Like, because he believes it, like, he doesn't want to, but, like, I feel like in his heart he knows he has to, so he will eventually, like, when the time is right. But, like, I don't think he wants to, and I think that's kind of why it's, like, dragging out. And I could be way off, but that's just my like, vision for it.
No, I really, like I said, I really do hope you're right. I think, like, cause like this, when he, I don't know, this is what we said, we could talk about this for a whole show, but when he goes like, I am the forbidden door, and if without me, we wouldn't have AEW, and I built this place from the ground, like, call me Babe Ruth, this is the house that Cody built. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels so desperate, so desperate. It's like that. It's like the ex-boyfriend who's like, well, but don't you remember I bought you that car and I did this and that?
Yeah.
And, like, you love me still, please. Like, it feels, and it makes you like, oh, you're even more, like, you're less attracted than you were to me before now, and all that. It just, that's why I think he turns heel, and people are going to, like, very quickly, in a couple months, people are going to be back to cheering him. I disagree with the fact that you can't do with him. I think you could do charity work and turn heel.
I agree.
I think that's why he's getting booed so much, because he is prioritizing all these other things, which power to him, by the way. I don't, you know, make your money, like, and do your thing, and continue to, like, bleed into other areas of entertainment and all that other stuff.
Because we all would. Like,
absolutely, without a doubt.
We all would if we had the opportunity, you know? Like, and that's what tickles me with some people, but keep going.
I just want to say, like, Simon Cowell, though, like, let's throw it way back. American Idol played the heel on that show and did an incredible job at it and was super famous, right? So, like,
made dumb money off of it.
Absolutely. So, you know what? Be a heel on AEW and be a heel on your Go Big show. Be the Simon Cowell of the Go Big show. In fact, make that your pro wrestling character. I don't care. You know, like, run with it is my point. There's, like, you can get creative rather than just forcing this every week and being like the desperate ex-boyfriend knocking at the door over and over and over again. It's just like, it's just, and this to me was just unfocused and an unnecessary segment. So we love you, Cody. We do. Especially if you're near us with a weight belt on. But we love you. Turn heel. or at least do something that makes sense. Like, if he wants to do this tweener stuff, fine. But it's not good. Like, this segment wasn't good. Sometimes it can be really good. When he won the TNT title, I will say that. That was really good. Like, that was a good match, and it was a good win, and I thought it was a really good direction. But when this becomes directionless like this, it just doesn't I don't know. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about something I did really like, and that was the what is it? What's their name? The Kings of Black, or the Kings of the Black Throne? Kings of the Black House.
For King, now you got me questioning. Now I don't know.
Let's go with
the
Kings of the Throne. How about that? Kings of the Throne for now. Brody King and Malachi Black versus the Varsity Blondes. The Kings of Black, obviously, this was a short match. They got the win by pinfall when they did that cool, like, throw into a power slam move that they do. I was upset about this because I didn't get to see Brian Pillman just, get a freaking black mass to the head. But other than that, I was happy with this. What do you think? What do you think about the Kings, the Black King? The Kings of the Black Throne?
Yeah.
We gotta tread carefully.
The Kings, yeah. So just call them the Kings. I mean, obviously, like, I really dig the act and everything. Like, I dig them as a duo. Mm-hmm. I haven't really seen them as a tag team in the past. Like, I know, obviously, they've apparently, like, teamed somewhere, but
I didn't know that.
I don't even know, like, the promotion or anything. I just read somewhere that maybe it was, like, Ring of Honor. I mean, I don't know. Like, I didn't even think it was Ring of Honor.
When in doubt, it's always Ring of Honor.
Yeah, you just always default to them. But like, they had been a team somewhere prior to everyone going everywhere else. But I dig them. They obviously, like, visually, like, mesh well, and, like, it's a cool act, and I think, like, the Varsity Blues, right?
Blondes. I love that you called them the Varsity Blues.
Oh, I was just about to say, like, as I was saying blues, like, I was like, I never know which one it is. And,
you know what? The Varsity Blondes are having the Varsity Blues lately, though.
Yeah, because they're all their stuff is, I'm trying not to cuss, all their stuff is, like, baby blue. So, like, that throws me off, too. So it's, like, a mind mess. But
where would the curse be in that? Sorry, continue. No, just keep going. Just keep going.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, so I don't know, like, I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm happy that they're moving on and the whole what happened after the match itself. But yeah, I dig them as an act, and I hope that their entrance music is like just theirs as like a tag team, because Malachi Black's entrance theme was like really growing on me, and I dug it. I think it kind of, like, screeching, like, kind of fit his entrance. Mm-hmm. So I hope this is just like a tag team thing. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I had the same thought, funny enough. And there's stuff going on with the Varsity Blondes, but let's move on. Post-match, we had Pac, who is blind now, but he's not blind anymore. I don't know if you want to give any quick thoughts on what the heck is going on with Pac.
I mean, he's just amazing with what he does. Promo-wise,
he can get anything over. You're right.
Yeah. So, like, I'm intrigued, but, like, I'm just kind of waiting and seeing how this one plays out.
I was upset because I thought we were going to see Pac start wrestling blind, and I think that would have just been incredible. Maybe you have to, like, approach that slowly, but, like, I thought we were going to see him wrestle with, like, the thing over his eyes, and, he'd realistically, in real life, obviously, be able to see through it, but he would just be able to, like, sense people.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie Noble did it back in the day, like, when he was with Nivea.
That's...
so Jamie Noble can do it, no disrespect, because I hear Jamie Noble's great, but, Pac is Pac, so I feel like he should be able to pull it off. Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. What was it, Mia or somebody, his, like, girlfriend?
His girlfriend? Nivea?
She was blind. Was she the blind one?
So he had a match that he had to wrestle in where he was blind, I think. And then maybe it was her.
She was actually blind,
I know I
wasn't
remember
she?
seeing him blindfolded at one point.
It was very distasteful.
The whole, yeah, but she definitely, hers was this is not even important, but her story had played out longer that she was blind, and I think she was playing, I don't know.
It was long-term storytelling. His was just blind for, like, a match. Okay, got it. I just bet the payoff was amazing.
It was.
Alright, we had, what do we have next? We had Jake the Snake Roberts talking with Lance Archer and Dan Lambert about, Adam Page, and we'll talk about that later. We had Rocky Romero and Trent. I always want to say Trent. Beretta, obviously cutting a promo. This whole thing with Brandon Cutler, with the camera thing, it's too much. Just, like, either have the camera or don't. Like, I don't care with this whole invisible camera thing. They're doing too much. But we're obviously talking about, and we had the whole. I actually don't know if we had this at this point or not, but they put the I think it was earlier on in the show, but they put all the clips of all the old matches in Japan and stuff like that for the tag team championship matches between the Bucks and Rocky Romero and Trent Beretta.
That was cool.
Yeah, real quick. First of all, Trent Beretta. Am I wrong? And that man looks like he could win the AEW World Championship.
He's a monster. Like
where did that come from?
Yeah, he looks. I think it's the hair. Like
I think it's the hair too, Ashley. I think it's the haircut.
Different.
And the 8-pack.
Yeah, dude, it's just skin on abs. Like, it's just insane. So yeah, like whatever he's been doing, like he's doing a great job at it. But dude is like a completely different Trent ? Beretta, because he still has the question mark there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I thought that them having that footage there was really cool as well. But give me more Trent Beretta on my screen. I'm excited to see. Hopefully, how old is he? That's my gimmick. I'm supposed to know that.
Yeah, you're supposed to have the.
I know, right? And I miss Sue. I'm still thinking. It was the Young Bucks who were threatening to end Sue's career.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's so funny. All right.
And Trent is 34.
Oh, you're quicker than me. I couldn't spell Beretta. All right, next up, we had Frankie Kazarian versus Lance Archer. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I had to watch some of it in the morning. I wake up at 5 o'clock to get to work on time. I had no time for this. If you guys know me, you know how I feel about Lance Archer. He's lost all credibility to me. I like the beard, but I don't understand. He lost in a tournament to face for the world title. Why is he the next challenger? Doesn't make any. He's not even in the rankings.
That's
like
my
you
point.
said. Yeah, I'm sorry to ruin this for you. It was good to see Frankie Kazarian though, and I thought this was going to be a squash match, and it wasn't. And it was from the things that I did see from it, like actually focused on. This action was okay. I just don't know what it is about Lance Archer. I'm so uninterested. And once that switch turns off, like the Matt Hardy switch, we can call it, it turns off, and I'm out. I don't know if you can pull me back in. So I'll throw it over to you though, because you probably watched this more than I did.
No, I actually didn't see this match at all.
Oh, I love that. Okay,
So yeah, I don't know what happened with my recording because, like I said, like I started it like 35 minutes late. So my recording, like it just like skipped like a whole like 15 or so-ish minutes. So that was that entire match, and then like whatever portion happened right after that. Right, I saw the main event though.
So your DVR didn't want to watch this Lance Archer match as much as I did. You could even say that your DVR had a blackout. Huh? Huh?
Yeah, it did. It did.
All right, post-match. Well, post-match, Dan Lambert was talking or interviewed by Tony Schiavone, and he starts talking, and then Lance Archer grabs the microphone, and no one interrupted technically. Lance Archer goes to put Frankie. I don't know what he said. I couldn't care less. Well, it has no credibility. He goes to put Lance Archer on a table. It was weird. It was clearly contrived and very set up. But he puts the chair outside on the stage. I don't know why he couldn't do this in the ring. Brings Frankie Kazarian out. He's gonna chokeslam him on the chair. What do you know? The music hits. Huge pop. Huge. Like the crowd goes wild, which is great, right? And the cowboy, you know what chance, but they go face to face. Hangman Page, by the way, looks probably like chef's kiss. Like he just looks incredible. Long story go away. Hangman Page ends up getting the upper hand in the little quick brawl that they did have, and Dan Lambert is shooing what's his name, Lance Archer away. I do like commentary mention this when they say something about how the real money isn't in the heel fighting right now. That always makes like it more realistic to me. Like, because if I was that angry, I'd want to fight too. But like having a manager be like, no, this is not where you're making your money. Like you're gonna make your money when you actually fight on the pay-per-view or wherever it is. I love that.
It's true.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
So you didn't miss. The only thing you missed was a Hangman Page looking great as always, and hitting Lance Archer in the face with his boot. And then a Dante I was gonna ask you your thoughts, but you didn't see it, so I guess we're all right with that. It sucks. This is the world title feud, and I really couldn't care less. That's what Lance Archer does to me.
Yeah, that's why, like, and I hate to say it because I'm not trying to be that person, but like, it doesn't feel like, even like, regardless of like location and my bias to the side, like, it just doesn't feel like a pay-per-view main event. And like, I hate to say that because I was a fan of Lance Archer, and I still am a fan of Lance Archer, but I just feel like he needs more time to build back up to be like an unstoppable monster type, you know? And then I give him like a 6-month run or something like that, where he's just like going through people or having like a solid feud and just looking dominant, and then maybe we could talk about like a world title match. But
even the TNT title.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't dislike him. I'm just not into it right now, and I don't know. It's just not clicking for me for some reason.
No, I'm 100% with you, and I don't think this is going out to Revolution. I give them maybe, in a week or two, and then I really think we're going to get Adam Cole at Revolution, and just, like, let's get to that. My thing is like, I don't know, I just, the argument would be, not to stay on this too long, but the argument would be, oh, you need, like, an interim challenger until we get to the Adam Cole, or whoever's going to be at Revolution. I disagree with that. Like I said, AEW's got a roster. Like, we could do it right now. Ashley, pick a number, 1 through, what did I say, 23? Go 1 through 23. Yeah, pick a number 1 through 23.
We'll do 7.
7, okay. And then 1 through 4.
1.
CM Punk.
Look at that, bro.
That could be what you're going to right now.
Look at that.
But you know what I mean? Like, there are so many people that you could pick from. So I don't know. I disagree with the fact that you need an interim challenger. I think you could do something. I don't know. You could have a quick feud with like not a Dante Martin, but just Dante Martin of the like. Or I don't know. You just have Hangman Page wrestle a match
like a Jay Lethal.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. But maybe like you just have him wrestle Daniel Garcia or somebody. Like, give a young up and starter like a fun non-title match. You know what I mean? Rather than forcing us to like, is there anybody out there who thinks that, I think Michael Nakazawa has a better chance of winning the match against Hangman Page for the title than Lance Archer. And that's saying something.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to my favorite part of the night. Well, there's a few more things. Will Hobbs and Ricky Starks cutting a promo after Dante Martin, Lee Moriarty, and Matt Sydal are being interviewed backstage. All I'm going to say about that is they weren't interrupted, and it was wonderful. Ricky Starks and Will Hobbs cutting a promo, and Will Hobbs counting to 5. Did you get to see this part?
No.
It was great. I don't know. If you saw it, you get it. You just like, Ricky Starks is talking about like how many people are watching Dante Martin's back, and Will Hobbs just starts counting to 5 silently next to him, and it popped me. I don't know why. Will Hobbs, if you watch his facial expressions too, he's gonna be something huge as well. We'll skim through all of this. So we had those 2 promos back to back. I liked that instead of an interruption. That was nice. And then we had Chris Statlander and Red Velvet backstage. Our one interruption for the night was Layla Hirsch coming up and kind of, if you've been seeing what's going on, you could have figured what happened here. Layla Hirsch finally snaps. The right hand, the forearm that she threw to Red Velvet in the back of the head, like she made Karrion Kross look like a little you-know-what. That was like his finisher, and I never saw him hit a satisfying one. She nailed her in the back of the head. And then obviously brawled with Chris Statlander as well. So that match, obviously, we're getting that next week on Beach Break, Red Velvet and Layla Hirsch. And I appreciate the effort that they're putting into the women's division. Anything to say on those 3 ladies?
No, only because I didn't see that segment either. I think I may have cut in right before this. But I agree with you. The amount of time that I feel like the ladies got on last night's show, like it was an improvement. So they do have to get credit there. But I did, going back and like seeing the show in like totality, is like there were like a decent amount of women's segments though, for real.
I know this. You technically, if you want to include the mixed tag team match, I think this is the first ever Dynamite with more than one women's. It was like 1.5 women's matches. That's not bad.
We're making improvements.
It's actually really terrible. It feels like I have to like, you know what I mean? I don't know. We're not even going to go there. But speaking of the women's match, this was so great. Did you get to see Serena Deeb?
I did see this match.
Okay,
Yeah,
Sky Blue was there too, by the way. My bad. I apologize. But yes, squash match between Serena Deeb and Sky Blue. Sky Blue got little to no offense, but she sold a lot of the moves very well. So she definitely still had a good showing for me here. Serena Deeb is incredible. That move, she had a neck breaker off the ropes that looked really good, and then the way she just slams the knee into the mat and then hits the Serenity lock and like locks that in, it looks terrifying. Serena Deeb looks like she could play like a sniper in like an assassin movie. She just terrifies me in the greatest way possible. So, you have all heard me talk about how much I love Serena Deeb 1,000 times. So I'll throw it over to you, Ashley, and then we'll keep going down the card.
Yeah, no, I mean, I pretty much agree with you 100% there. She's behind Dr. Britt Baker. She's probably my number 2 fave. Well, I mean, Thunder Rosa is kind of up there, but I think Serena Deeb's got to be number 2 for me. And then maybe Thunder Rosa's number 3. But she's just amazing, and I feel like this is like my opinion, maybe like the best she's like career-wise she's ever been. Just like character, like the total package. I feel like in this respect, but she's just like on a different level, and I don't know, like there's just something about this version of her, like the professor persona, like it's just like she's just on a different planet right now, like compared to, it's just so fun to think too, like not where she started necessarily, but like our first memories of her back with like the Straight Edge Society and all that stuff, and to see her now, like I can't wait until they just have like some type of like brief interaction with her and Punk, if they're just like walking by each other backstage, or
I can't believe they haven't done it yet.
I know, we gotta get something, so at least I hope we do. But yeah, like I'm a huge fan of hers, and Sky Blue, like I'm surprised they haven't signed her yet. That's kind of surprising for me.
Haven't?
Maybe it's because she's still young. Oh, they did?
No, you're right now. Well, it's a good thing we have this roster page up. Let's look. No, as you talk about, no, you're right. I don't see her actually. Funny enough, you know what? I have a feeling. Oh, I didn't know they signed Yuka Sakazaki. Wow, and we need more Yuka Sakazaki is what we need in AEW. But I couldn't agree with you more with this. I really want to see some kind of interaction. My dream booking, my dream match is Charlotte Flair and Britt Baker. My second dream thing to be able to see in professional wrestling is Serena Deeb and CM Punk. I want CM Punk to turn heel again, put him back together, do Straight Edge Society 2.0.
Yes.
I don't need Luke Gallows necessarily in it, but like, if she wants to shave her head again, go wild. But like, give me heel CM Punk and let me get like a real version of the Straight Edge Society. We never got to flesh that out, and it's like one of my biggest like miss outs. I don't know what word to use for that, but like, I really, it was just like it could have been so much more.
Yeah.
So I'm with you on that, and yes, Serena Deeb, always incredible. I want her to have like professor segments, like you know how Taz has like the Taz thing that he does with like talking about how the hooks like hips pop, and that's why you can do this move like that and whatever. What is it called? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. No, I don't know.
Like give like Serena Deeb like this like Serena School of Wrestling or something, and just like have her just cut a promo about how incredible she is.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
More Serena Deeb on our TV, absolutely. All right, I was about to call him Ego Page. Ethan Page and Jon Moxley, or talking about Jon Moxley, we talked about this already. That should be good. Rampage is going to be live in Cincinnati next week. Are you going to that show, Ashley?
I wish.
And, so obviously we got that match made, and I'll ask you about the shows for next week as well when we get to the end of the show. But we had the Hardy Family Office, the Hardy Family Office and Andrade being interviewed backstage. The only thing I got out of this was Andrade, and I had a friend text me too about this, Andrade calling Darby Allin Sting's son or something like that. Or the boy who works for Sting. So wonderful. Yeah. It still doesn't beat Darby Allin's emo daddy.
Oh, I know.
That was one of my favorite lines.
It's so perfect. That cracked me up.
But so I'll say that Andrade like not understanding what like American emo whatever thing this is hilarious to me. So at least they had that. But anything Matt Hardy said I didn't listen to. The switch is off, guys. I can't help it. And then we got our main event: Darby Allin and Sting versus the Acclaimed. Before we get into the match, did you see the music video on Rampage?
The goth phase.
What did you think?
I loved it. Like, I don't know. I guess so. I guess like being a fan of the Acclaimed, and I have like a weird like soft spot for like dumb humor. So it's just like I just loved it. I loved the whole, I don't know, just everything about it, and how like Max was still himself, but you had Bowen, this big beefy guy dressing up as Darby Allin, which is like the small, you know, like like he just looking at Darby, like he's compared to like I think he's probably even smaller than Adam Cole, you know, so it's like he's a smaller guy. So just the comparison there was just perfect. And then that Stang character that they had was just like, it's so well done. Like, I don't know if I'm in the minority or the majority here. I don't really know how people responded to it, but I just, for whatever reason, I really enjoyed it. It was well done, too.
I thought it was incredible. I thought the actual rapping of it wasn't bad either. I thought this was wonderful. I was going to say the music video was hilarious. I thought it was, don't get me wrong, the match was entertaining, but it was long. And I'll say that for sure. I'm surprised. It wasn't even long. It just felt long with all the stuff they had going on in the show. It felt like some of these matches were still had more than enough time. But yeah, I thought it was hilarious, and I think ever since Max Caster has been back after suspension, like he's still, like his rap coming to the ring this time was good too, making the reference obviously to the like what is it called, mutilation or whatever WWE thought that women's match was. I thought that was a good line, and the rap was he's definitely toned it down, you can tell, but he's still funny. Max Caster is a funny guy, so I thought that was hilarious too. I didn't even think about the fact that Anthony Bowens was the one who was playing Darby Allin when Max Caster is like half his size. It's funny. But this match was good. I thought so for the most part, and it was just a beatdown. They did that terrible looking spot with a chair on the neck and to the steel post to Darby Allin, and this was like a beatdown on Sting. And then Sting wrestled the whole main event on AEW essentially by himself. So there's that's happening somehow. There was a splash to Anthony Bowens. Was it Anthony or no? To Max Caster once. We got Darby Allin coming back, obviously, and then there was a splash. I just want to get to the splash part, Ashley. The 63-something-year-old man jumped off the stage, threw a table onto Max Caster's head. Max Caster's body wasn't even there to break the fall. He just jumped off a stage through a table, essentially. How does Sting at 63 have more athleticism and durability than I do at 23?
I don't even know. It's like... it's almost like you don't have words for it, because like this guy is inhuman. Like it's insane. Like I think of like certain family members that I have, you know, certain aunts, you know, like not to call anyone out, but like it's just like if you think about people in your everyday life and then you think about him and like they're like the same age or like, and it's just insane. Like I can't even picture it. Like you said, like I probably can't do a quarter of the stuff that he's doing at my age. I'm 30, you know, and like he's just it's unreal, dude. And for the amount of time and the injuries that he has gone through and recovered from, especially recently, like it's just insane. And to think that, not to go off on a rant because I'm not, but to think that like WWE didn't even want to give him the opportunity to like really like have a match with The Undertaker. And like I don't know if it really was Taker who didn't want the match, but it's like, man, like I don't know, just to say you had it, and just to, I don't know, it probably wouldn't have been the best, but like seeing what he can do now, like it probably would have been something, you know.
He must be taking that DDP yoga class, is what's going on, I think.
Yeah.
But yes, so this is, I mean, there's not much to talk about here, and I know we've gone, this is one of our longest shows, somehow, some way, just talking about that. This is what happens when you don't come on the show for a couple of weeks or a couple of months.
Yeah.
But the end of this match was Darby Allin hitting the coffin drop after Sting. I think there was a stinger splash. Something happened. I don't know. Sting jumped off the stage and went through a table, guys. I kind of lost it at that.
Sting did amazing things.
Sting somehow did things that, you know, people my age can't seem to imagine even doing. So the one thing I will say is, and this might be a really small detail, but they had Darby Allin doing the guillotine choke, right? And I don't know why. First of all, I'd love if he gets like a submission as repertoire like that. I think that would be really cool, especially with the contrast of like Roman Reigns, who does the guillotine choke as well, and then like Darby Allin, who looks like the size of Roman Reigns' like left pinky. I just think I liked for some reason that stood out to me even though Roman Reigns is not in AEW. But I just thought about the next opponent for maybe Jon Moxley. Well, maybe not, because they're both baby faces. Maybe further down the line, but I just was thinking about, for some reason, I made me think about the Bulldog choke, and then I was thinking about Jon Moxley versus Darby Allin, and I got excited. I don't know what that has to do with anything, but that's where my train of thought went as I was watching this match, and then Sting jumped through a table, so I lost all trains of thought. I'm glad this is over. This was cute enough. Nice payoff. I think the making fun of the whole goth thing is so funny and fine to do because Darby Allin and Sting are so over. Otherwise, I think you could kill this gimmick, and why is Darby Allin's not for me, but people are really behind him, and I think that's why you can do these funny music videos and stuff. And power to Sting and Darby Allin for obviously probably giving permission to the Acclaimed to be yeah, make fun of us, please. You know what I mean? Paint your face and have a guy who looks like the guy from Kiss.
Yeah, Stang,
exactly. So overall, I thought this was a really positive. I mean, except for a couple things that it seems like, for the most part, though, besides Cody Rhodes, it seems like we agreed that most of the stuff was pretty positive. So a good, 45 minutes of the show was that. But other than that, the other an hour and 15 minutes I thought was pretty great. And next week, obviously, Beach Break. I know they announced stuff for Rampage, but I don't have time for that. Who do you think? We got Beach Break, ladder match, TNT Championship match. Who do you think's gonna win the double belts?
I'm going Cody. I don't know why I drew a blank there. I'm definitely going Cody on this one.
Yeah, I am too. When do you think we officially hear that he signs a new contract? Any idea?
Oh, I think they drag this out. Or maybe he, part of me wants him to, if he were to go, or maybe in his mind he would be babyface, so he would still do it. But part of me wants to see him go up there, get both titles, come back down, and then Brandy brings out his contract to him, and he signs the contract on the titles in the main event.
Ashley, that's the greatest booking I've heard all week.
I would do it, because in his mind it's him showing his love for AEW. He just won the title. It's not a secondary title. And now he's reaffirming his love by signing another commitment, what would be better?
And have him walk around with both belts.
Yeah. Oh, well, you have to, you have to at that point.
All right. Adam Cole versus, I'm with you, by the way, Cody Rhodes, and I love that booking. Adam Cole versus Orange Cassidy, lights out match. Do you think this main events?
Yeah, I think it does, because I think with their unsanctioned thing, I think that's how they do these.
The way they turn the lights on and off, and then what if they did that and Malachi Black was just suddenly in the ring and he was like, wait, how the hell did I get here?
Right. It's just what happens when the lights go on and off. Yeah, no, I'm my money is on Cole. I think this is gonna be a solid match, and I gave it crap maybe a little bit earlier, but I think Cassidy's really gonna show out here. And
I shifted your perspective a little bit, huh?
You did. It was you. It was you. You've changed my heart a little bit, but yeah, no, my money's on Cole.
I really appreciate that. I'm with you as well. I hate to agree, but all right, Chris Jericho and Santana and Ortiz versus Daniel Garcia in 2.0. The real question, yes, is who's going to win, Ashley, but more importantly, can Chris Jericho and the rest of the Inner Circle, Santana and Ortiz, coexist, and what is Jake Hager going to play in all of this?
Yes, you wrote that famous line down from earlier. Yes, can they coexist? I say no. I think this is it. I think this is going to be the breakup. I don't know if it's going to be a matter of 2.0 cheating to win or something backfiring or whatever, but I think this is going to be the beginning, or maybe even Eddie coming out, and then I don't know. I don't see them winning, but I see this being their blow off, or maybe blow up, and then I don't see them actually feuding against each other. Jericho and Santana and Ortiz for that matter. Or maybe we could get Jericho and Hager versus them too, but I don't know. I kind of hope we don't get that, but I don't really think Hager's going to play much of a role at all. I don't even really predict him even being there, to be honest. So yeah, I think this is just going to be focused on Jericho and Inner Circle as a whole kind of breaking up and for their part of it, and then the focus being on Jericho and Kingston going forward.
Imagine if they break up because of 2.0 and Daniel Garcia, but not because of that match with the Pinnacle. Sorry, it's just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
That's so true.
The most wasted feud of 2021. All right, Red Velvet versus Layla Hirsch. We talked a little bit about this, but I'm blown away that Layla Hirsch is they took the little one and they turned her heel.
Yeah.
Funny. I mean, she could take some notes from Bryan Danielson and kick some butt. But who do you think's to win this? I think it's pretty obvious, but
yeah, I'm going Layla Hirsch.
Could you imagine just like they just start this heel turn? Oh, I'm sorry, Layla Hirsch, you suck. Red Velvet needs this win, obviously, because of just the upward trajectory she's on right now.
Right, of course. It's obvious.
So funny. On the cover of Beach Break, too, I'll give you one guess of the two people that are, that doesn't make sense. You get two guesses, technically, of who are the two people on the cover of the Beach Break banner thing that I'm looking at.
I'm going Cody and next, since it's nothing advertised, I'm going Cody and Sammy.
Close. Cody and Chris Jericho.
Jericho, dang.
I thought
I was gonna go Jericho and Cody and Mox, but I was like, I don't think they advertised a match for Mox yet, so he wouldn't be on there. So Jericho makes total sense. Dang.
There it is. It was actually just Cody Rhodes and Brian Pillman Jr.
Well, I was gonna say Cody and Brandy too. That crossed my mind, but I was like, I don't want to be that.
That would have been a good guess too. That would have been a good guess. All right, I'm gonna send you off with one last question for you, Ashley, because we've just had. I feel like since you've last been on the show, a lot of new people have been signed, all that stuff. What's one combination you're looking forward to, hopefully happening in 2022, if it's not already planned to happen already, but just something you're looking forward to happening this year in AEW?
Ooh.
Not to put you on the spot, but I just put you on the spot.
You did.
Christopher Daniels is still on the men's Raw. Oh, yes, of course he is. They just broke up the tag team. He didn't retire yet. Yeah. Okay, sorry, my bad.
Man, I think, and I hate to go like maybe like an obvious route, but like besides like MJF and Punk, because I feel like their match is gonna be good, and I feel like that's gonna be a big deal for MJF, which I won't get into now. But I really want to see Punk and Bryan Danielson. Like I just feel like there would be a lot there, and with this side of Bryan that we've gotten like promo wise and like on the mic and stuff, and it'd be even more fascinating if like Punk was an actual heel at that point, but kind of regardless of the roles, like because Bryan, in my opinion, has been pretty solid as a heel, and especially if he continues, because he can just continue to like embrace it and kind of grow. But I just, for whatever reason, like I kind of hope we get that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why, but like that's just. And I think maybe, of course, obviously, like a Punk and Omega, too, would be right up there. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, that my first choice, I think, would be, like, a Danielson and Punk.
Here's so much, like... my answers are so, like, first of all, I kind of want to see Jon Moxley versus Hook.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why, but I think that would be incredible.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I know it's coming sooner. The more realistic one is, I'm ready to see Mercedes Martinez. So give me Mercedes Martinez versus Thunder Rosa.
Yeah, that's going to be solid. That's going to be such a good match.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see what Mercedes Martinez because a lot of these women have a lot of this stuff down. We talk about this, I feel like, every week, or at least I do. It's the fundamentals that a lot of them are lacking. You know, not your Nyla Roses are pretty much, even your Penelope Fords have got a lot down. Chris Statlander's, that's why I think Chris Statlander stands out so much, because she's just so fundamentally sound. And Serena Deeb obviously like defines fundamentals, but I can't wait to see what Mercedes Martinez brings to that women's roster and helps obviously all these younger ladies learn. And maybe they'll sign Sky Blue. Who knows? All right, Ashley. Thank you. As always, thanks. Last minute, too. Quick shout out to that. Like, last minute to pop on the show and then, like, talk to me for 3 hours about just a regular Dynamite. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast. We'll have to catch back up soon.
You want to plug the podcast once again and where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, feel free to follow me on Twitter at ASHMANNS. And feel free to check out the pod. Covers wrestling. Like I said earlier, predominantly AEW lately. But yeah, the podcast is the Kick-Ass Podcast. And you can follow me on Twitter pretty much though, at ASHMANNS. Like I said, that's probably the easiest thing for real.
Yes, and then don't bring your kids to the podcast because it is explicit, obviously.
It is explicit, yes. I don't have time for editing or censoring myself, so I just go.
Listen, I don't make the rules over here. We're still under Matt's reign here.
I understand.
And you can follow me at Mimi Burris if you want to. I'm pretty controversial on there, honestly. So.
Oh yes. It's a hot follow.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It is I'm going to say that every week now. It's a hot follow, guys. At Mimi Burris on Twitter. If you can't spell it, don't follow me. Just kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. It's MIMIBURRIS. I don't want to alienate anybody. You got to be so careful what you say nowadays. All right, with all that, I'm going to hop off before I say something where it gets me in trouble with my 100 followers on Twitter. Ashley, thank you again. It's always awesome to have you, and definitely breathe some new life into the show this week. So I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me. We'll have to link up soon.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
All right, have a good night.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.